Chapter 401. It took nearly an hour for the 8 iron chains to be completely burned off. It was clear how tough these things were. Clang! When the last chain was burned, the nightmare beast stomped on the ground a few times and made a sound. After confirming that it was no longer bound, it pounced towards Sima Yue. Wah 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 wah! The nightmare beast pushed Sima Yue down and licked her face with its tongue. Sima Yulin was at the side and saw that the nightmare beast was licking her face like a dog. If it wasn't for the fact that it didn't look like a dog at all, he would have suspected that this guy was actually a dog. Sima Yue couldn't understand what this little fellow was saying. She sat up and called Emosha out, asking, "How can I form a contract with it?" Originally, the Imperial Beast Art could, but your strength is too low, so you can't tame it, Emosha said. Sima Yue glared at him. Then what was there to say? Then let it recognize you as its master? Sima Yulin said. That's not worth it, Emosha said. Then what should we do? Sima Yue was speechless. This won't do, that won't do. It's so troublesome to contract a magical beast. Don't forget that I used to be a beast tamer too. Emosha glanced at Sima Yue. This girl's brain really wasn't working well sometimes. Sima Yue decided to ignore the person who had been looking down on her recently. Emosha and the nightmare beast came to an agreement, then condensed their bodies and began to tame them. They didn't expect a soul like him to be able to tame a magical beast. The two of them were dumbfounded. Very quickly, Emosha finished taming the nightmare beast. The nightmare beast's large eyes were dazed and unfocused. Come, Emosha said. That's it. Sima Yue walked over. How do I contract it? It's not much different from other contracts, but it uses dark spiritual energy, Emosha said. Sima Yue placed her hand on the nightmare beast's head. She circulated the dark spiritual energy in her body and began to contract the nightmare beast. Soon, a contract was established between the two of them. A black light fell down, surrounding her and the nightmare beast. Finally, it turned into 2 black runes that disappeared between their eyebrows. Master. As soon as the contract was established, Sima Yue heard a soft voice. Nightmare beast. Sima Yue tried calling out. Master, I'm Little Dream. The nightmare beast giggled. Master, I'm about to advance. Sima Yue didn't know how to categorize nightmare beasts, but she knew that they were definitely stronger than god beasts. While the nightmare beast was leveling up, the dark energy in Sima Yue's body was also leveling up. After the leveling up, she felt that the dark energy in her body was slightly more than the other energies. She should have reached the peak of the Spirit Elder realm. Little Dream turned into a cute girl. She was dressed in black and had long hair that reached her waist. Her round face and big eyes made her look harmless. Sima Yue looked at the 4 or 5-year-old girl and reached out to pinch her face, saying, Little Dream is a little girl. Master, Little Dream is hungry. Little Dream said to Sima Yue. And what do demons eat? You can speak human language? Sima Yue looked at Little Dream's pitiful eyes and asked. After forming a contract with Master, I can speak Master's language. Little Dream said. Sima Yue turned her head to look at Emosha. Emosha also didn't expect the nightmare beast to be such a cute little girl, saying, Just give her some of your things to eat. Let's go, I'll take you to eat something good. Sima Yue held Little Dream's hand and brought the others back to the Spirit Pagoda. When the people in the Spirit Pagoda saw Little Dream, they couldn't believe that this was the Demon King level beast that had been suppressed for so long. Little Dream saw that there were many people inside and timidly leaned towards Sima Yue. Little Dream, don't be afraid. They are all my friends and contracted beasts. They won't hurt you. Sima Yue patted her hand and comforted her. Through the contract, she could feel Little Dream's loneliness and fear after being suppressed for so long. Perhaps it was because she was suppressed for so long that she lost the ferocity of a demon beast and became so timid. Yes. Little Dream nodded, saying, Master saved Little Dream. Master will protect Little Dream, and Little Dream will also protect Master. Let's go. I'll take you to eat something good, Sima Yue said. Okay. Little Dream raised her head and smiled. Sima Yue took her and left. The others looked at the backs of the two of them and slapped their faces, saying, Is that really the nightmare beast? Such a cute demon beast. It's really hard to imagine. Uni thought about how Sima Yue was fine after contracting Little Dream. Could it be that she really had dark spiritual energy in her body? Sima Yue and the others left for a long time and did not return. The few of them planned to see what the demon beast ate. When they went to the back of the kitchen, they were immediately stunned. They saw Sima Yue standing outside the fence. Little Dream was inside, hugging a pheasant and gnawing happily. The pheasant had all its feathers plucked, but it was not dead. Half of it was eaten. The other chicken claw was still kicking, as if it was making its last struggle. There were hundreds of pheasants in the fence, but now there were only a dozen left. The feathers were scattered all over the ground. Little Dream was standing among the feathers. Her pink face was stained with blood, especially the corners of her mouth. It was all stained with blood, and looked very scary. Yue, did she eat all of these? Everyone felt that the scene was a little nauseating. The visual impact was too great. Sima Yue nodded, saying, "It already knows how to pluck feathers now. Just now it wanted to eat the feathers. It only became like this after I told it a few times." She brought Little Dream in. Little Dream saw the pheasants and asked, "Master, is this for me to eat?" Sima Yue nodded. Before she could say anything, she let go of her hand and rushed into the fence. She grabbed a pheasant and began to gnaw on it. Very quickly the pheasant was wiped clean. She turned and grabbed another one. She lifted it by the neck and began to gnaw on it. Sima Yue reacted at this time and quickly stopped her, letting her pluck the feathers first. After telling her a few times, she finally plucked the feathers before eating. Little Dream stood in the same place, seeing everyone looking at her with a strange expression, as if she had done something wrong. She was scared silly. "Master." She looked at her master. Little Roar looked at her and said, "This fellow is actually cuter than me. Luckily she is a girl. Otherwise I would definitely hit her." Sima Yue snapped her fingers. The feathers and the pile of internal organs all disappeared. The fence became clean again. She walked over and took out a silk cloth to wipe off the blood on Little Dream's face, asking, "Are you full?" "I'm a little full." Little Dream used her bloody hands to grab onto Sima Yue's clothes, saying, "Master, did I do something wrong? Their eyes are so strange." Seeing the blood on her clothes, Sima Yue was not angry, saying, "It's nothing. They just have never seen someone eat like this." "Then how did they eat?" Little Dream blinked her big eyes and asked curiously. Chapter 402. Sima Yue smiled and said, "Everyone eats cooked food. What is something that's ripe?" Little Dream continued to ask, "I'll ask them to make some for you later. You'll know once you eat it." Sima Yue said, "Okay." Little Dream nodded happily. Master didn't scold her, and even said that he would cook cooked food for her. Master was so nice. "Then let's go wash up first." She pulled her out of the fence and said, "Little Spirit, go and bring back some pheasants. Bring back some other game as well." "Foodie." Little Spirit appeared and said as he looked at Little Dream. However, there wasn't much blame in his eyes. There was a lot of wild game in the Spirit Pagoda. Just when he felt that the amount of wild game had increased recently, he had nowhere to consume them. Linglong sat on Little Spirit's shoulder and said, "Master is so gentle to Little Dream. I'm also very gentle towards you." Little Spirit finished speaking and left with her to catch some wild game. "Beigong, make something to eat later," Sima Yue said and left with Xiaomeng. He left behind a group of people who didn't know the truth. "I say, why is Yue treating this nightmare beast so well?" Fatty Chu asked. "I also feel that it's not just any good," Wei Ziqi said. "It's a little different from usual," Ouyang Fei echoed. "Maybe there's a reason," Beigong Tang said. "Haha. Chirp chirp." Ga. A pile of wild game suddenly appeared in the fence, and all kinds of noises filled the surroundings. "So much." Beigong Tang faintly removed the hair on her head and said, "Let's start. Otherwise, Yue won't be done when she comes out." Wei Ziqi and the others held back their laughter, nodding their heads as they began to act. "I'm really curious why Yue is so gentle to Xiaomeng." Sima Yue brought Xiaoming to the room where she took a bath. The pool was already filled with water. Master, what is this for? Little Dream curiously looked at the pool and asked. This is for bathing. Sima Yue said. You've been locked up here for so long. Take a good bath here, and eat some delicious food. Master, why do you have to take a bath before eating? Little Meng asked. Because you're in human form now. You have to live like a human. Sima Yue carried her into the water. At first, she was a little afraid of the water, and clutched onto Sima Yue's clothes tightly. Soon, she realized the benefits of taking a bath. She let go of Sima Yue and flopped around in the water. The bloodstains on her body were washed clean. Sima Yue leaned against the side of the pool, and looked at Xiaoming's innocent little face. Her eyes were filled with love. During the contract, she saw the memories hidden in the depths of its mind through the contract. Those memories made her heart ache for it. Little Dream was the most talented person in the nightmare race. She was born with the strength of a devil king. She was much stronger than the average clansman. Although the nightmare race was not as cruel as the other devil clans, they still had the nature of the devil clan. They were not kind people. However, Little Dream was not bad at all. Before she was suppressed, she did not do anything bad. She just lived happily in the clan. However, this kind of life did not last long. 3 years later, the other devil clans brought people to exterminate the nightmare race. They killed all of Little Dream's clansmen. Little Dream did not have much memory of what kind of great battle it was. However, she remembered clearly how the clansmen protected Little Dream, and how Little Dream was tortured after she was captured. They said that there was something in Little Dream's body, and they captured her to take it out. It was said that the thing was in Little Dream's heart. As long as they cut her heart, they could take it out. However, once they hurt Little Dream's heart, they would be attacked by their own skills. After a few years of hard work, they realized that as long as they destroyed Little Dream's heart, she would not die. No matter how serious her injuries were, she would slowly recover. This was an undying magical beast. She was born with the power of a devil king. They could not kill her, and did not dare to release her. Hence, they could only choose to suppress her. It would be best if she could never see the light of day. For insurance, they even chose the Yilin continent, which was the most difficult to open a passage, and suppressed her on Forgotten Worry Island. Before they suppressed her, they even sealed her memories, so that she could not remember what she had experienced. Apart from that, they had also sealed her body before suppressing her. All these years, Little Dream had been muddle-headed. She did not know where she was, or what she had experienced. She could not even remember who she was. Even after so many years, she could only maintain this state. They originally thought that they could suppress Little Dream forever. However, they did not expect that Sima Yue would come here and break their array. She even read the sealed memories during the contract. She did not know how many years she had been suppressed here. A few years ago, when she swallowed the creatures on the island, it was unconsciously caused by her body's seal being removed. The reason was she was very hungry. Master, the bath is so comfortable. Little Dream did not remember what she had experienced. She swam over and smiled happily, then soaked for a while longer. Sima Yue patted her head and said, "But..." Little Dream looked at Sima Yue shyly. "What's wrong?" Sima Yue asked. "The bath is very comfortable, but Little Dream is hungry." Little Dream lowered her head and said softly. Sima Yue's mouth twitched. She had only eaten a few wild chickens, and was already hungry after a bath. "Then let's go out and eat." She stood up and changed into a clean set of clothes. She looked through her own clothes, and realized that there were no children's clothes. Hence, she went to find Little Two's clothes for her to wear. Although it looked a little strange, she could only put up with it, and wait until they were outside to prepare clothes for her. Little Dream looked at the clothes that did not fit her, and smiled happily. Her master was so nice. Sima Yue brought her to the dining room. Before they even entered, they smelled a fragrance. "Master, it smells so good." Little Dream held Sima Yue's hand, and said as they stood outside. Then let's go in and see what delicious food they made. Okay. In the dining room, hundreds of wild animals were roasted and stewed. It almost filled the entire dining room. Seeing them enter, Fatty Chu wiped the sweat on his forehead and said, I never thought that there would be a day when I would have to cook for someone. Master, are these all for me to eat? Little Dream asked. Yes, go and eat. Sima Yue led her to the dining table and watched as she reached out to grab a roasted chicken and started to eat. When Little Dream took the first bite, she felt that this thing was not as delicious as raw food and subconsciously frowned. However, when she thought about how Sima Yue said that she was now in human form and had to eat cooked food like a human, she gritted her teeth and continued to eat. After eating the first chicken, she seemed to slowly fall in love with this kind of food that had all kinds of strange tastes. She felt that cooked food was not as bad, so she started to eat happily again. Very quickly, the food that Bei Gong Tang and the others had made was all in Little Dream's stomach. Chapter 403. When the last skewer of barbecued meat entered Xiaoming's stomach, she finally stopped. She looked up and saw that everyone present was staring at her with their mouths agape. She lowered her head in embarrassment and whispered, I just feel very hungry. Sima Yue patted her head and said, It's okay, no one will say anything about you. That's right, you've been suppressed for so long, so you definitely haven't eaten anything. It's normal for you to feel hungry. Fatty Chu hurriedly agreed. Seeing Little Dream's ashamed look, they actually felt that they were bullying a child. Are you full? Do you still want to eat? Bei Gong Tang asked gently. No need, I'm already full. Xiaoming shook her head. Seeing that no one disliked her, her eyes were full of smiles. Since you're full, why don't we let Little Roar bring you around the spirit pagoda? Sima Yue asked. All right. Little Dream replied. Sima Yue called Little Roar over and let him bring Little Dream out. Yue, why are you so good to Little Meng? When Little Meng and the rest disappeared, Fatty Chu and the rest asked the question in their hearts. Sima Yue told them about Xiaoming's past. When they heard that Xiaoming had suffered so much, their hearts ached. No wonder you treat her so well. If it was me, I would definitely be heartbroken. Fatty Chu said. Little Dream doesn't know about these memories. Don't let it slip, okay? Sima Yue reminded. Don't worry. We won't tell anyone. Fatty Chu patted his chest and promised. Then are we going back now? Sima Yulin asked. Since the matters here have been settled, it's time to head back. Sima Yue said. I wonder how things are at the Restless Continent. It's good to go there early. After Xiaoming returned from the tour, Sima Yue brought everyone out. Seeing the chains that had imprisoned her for who knows how many years, Little Dream felt a little timid and resentful. It's all right. You're free now. You won't be locked up here anymore. Sima Yue said. Let's go. I'll show you the world. Little Rock flew everyone out of the volcano. It was Little Dream's first time seeing this world. The blue sky and white clouds were strange. The sea and sea beasts below made her cry out in surprise and laugh from time to time. Seeing her happy face, no one could imagine that she had experienced so many things. By the time they returned to Kargalik, everyone had already left the coastline. All the forces had returned to their own places, leaving only a few loose ends in Anyang City to discuss the aftermath. Therefore, they rushed back to the Sima family. The news of their return was immediately received by all the forces. Hence, everyone rushed over, but was stopped by Sima Yue. I was only the Alliance Master during the battle. Now that the battle is over, don't treat me as the Alliance Master. Now I'm just a junior. If there's anything, you can talk to my family's patriarch. With just a few sentences, she threw all her responsibilities away. Then, without turning back, she brought Little Dream and the others back to the house where they used to live. The few patriarchs and presidents looked at each other. Seeing that Sima Yue was resolute, they could only leave and look for Sima Tai to discuss the future. After half a day, those people left the Sima family. Sima Yue, Sima Yue and Sima Yue went to look for Sima Tai. It just so happened that the clan's elders were there as well. Grandfather, we have something to discuss with you, Sima Yue said. Sima Tai looked at them saying, I knew the moment you came in. Tell me, what is it that requires all three of you to come together? Grandfather, we've seen many things this time. Sima Yue told him about the people they had met in the Little Realm, how they had no choice but to go to the Restless Continent, as well as what they had seen and heard in the Restless Continent. Are there really so many continents outside? Eldest Elder asked. Yes, Sima Yue said. Our continent has been called a prison continent by others for the purpose of imprisoning a few people. The spiritual energy here is the thinnest, and because of the restrictions, we cannot advance to the divine rank. The highest we can reach is the peak of Spirit Paragon. You're saying that the continents outside can advance to the divine rank? Sima Lin asked. Many of their clan elders had been at the peak of Spirit Paragon for many years, but they had never been able to break through to the spirit rank until they died of old age. It turned out that it was not because they were at the peak, but because of the restrictions of the heavens. That's right, Sima Yue nodded, saying. When we were outside, we discussed it a bit, and decided to move our clan to the Restless Continent. Move? Nobody thought that they would say such a crazy thing. Moving the entire clan would involve too many things. The few elders looked at each other, and were a little hesitant about this decision. They were a first-rate power here, and the Restless Continent was so powerful. Would they be able to survive there? Elders, you don't have to worry that you won't be able to survive there. Sima Yue understood their concerns, saying, We have already made a preliminary plan there. Once everyone goes there, they will have their own businesses to support their livelihood. Furthermore, there will be 2 first-rate powers to take care of them, so no one will dare to provoke us in the short term. After a few decades or 100 years, we will be able to develop. Why do you have businesses there? Sima Lin asked. Didn't we just say that we were going to attack the Zhang clan and the Sage Pavilion? Sima Yue said. I have already discussed it with the Guo clan and the Yun clan. We will take 40% of the Zhang clan's business and use it to support your livelihood. Are they willing? Eldest Elder asked. Yu was already their benefactor, and even gave them 10 divinity pills as compensation. How could they not be willing? Sima Yue said. It's also because of this that they agreed to take care of us. Divinity pills? What kind of pills are those? 10 divinity pills were enough to get the 2 great clans to give in. Divinity pills can allow a person at the peak of Spirit Paragon to advance to the divine rank. Giving them 10 divinity pills is equivalent to giving them a divine rank. Sima Yue explained. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. There was actually such a pill. Did you refine this pill yourself? Sima Tai asked. Of course. Sima Yue said. Don't we also have 2 elders and an ancestor who are at the peak of Spirit Paragon? When we go there, we can give them divinity pills. As long as they advance to the divine rank, we will be able to establish ourselves there. After a while, Master will come to pick us up. If I leave, I probably won't return here again. You have to think carefully about what you want to do. While those elders were still silent, Sima Tai patted his thigh, saying, We will go with you. Sima Yue was not surprised. As long as they wanted to go up, they would not stay here. Since this is the case, let's get everyone to prepare. Chapter 404. The Sima family started to reduce their assets quickly, changing all the useless things into medicinal ingredients, and sending them to the main family. The family's shops were all sold, not leaving a single shop. When the Sima family was packing up, Sima Yue left the main family with Sima Lai and the others, heading towards the Sophia mountain range. They would not forget that there was a Sima family on the other side of the Sophia mountain range, as well as Wei Ziqi's relatives. The Sophia mountain range that was like a natural moat to them was now like a deserted land. The dangers of the past were no longer there. That natural barrier, Sima Yu punched a few times and opened up a passage. The few of them quickly walked in and the barrier closed up. Entering the Dongqin kingdom, they did not use the teleportation array. Instead, they sat on Little Rock and flew back. This was where they used to live. If they left this time, they might never return. They wanted to take a good look at the scenery here. A few days later, they returned to the capital of the Dongqin kingdom. Outside the city walls, the few of them got off their flying beasts and looked at the familiar city walls. I never thought that we would be gone for so many years. I wonder how our family is doing now. Fatty Chu said. Who knows, things might have changed. Let's go back first. Sima Yue said. Yue, I'll go back to my house first and see if my family is willing to come. If they are, I'll bring them to the capital to look for you. Wei Ziqi said. Okay. Sima Yue nodded. Wei Ziqi called out his own flying beast and quickly flew back to his clan. Let's go back. Sima Yue patted the excited Fatty Chu and went in with Bei Gong Tang and the others. The soldiers guarding the city walls had already changed a generation. These new soldiers did not recognize them at all. Seeing them walk in, they all turned around to look. Grandfather, when you left that time, did you think that you would come back like this? Sima Yue walked beside Sima Lai and asked with a smile. At that time, I only thought that nothing would happen to you. I thought that I would die without a doubt. I didn't even think that I would survive, much less come back. Sima Lai sighed. If it wasn't for you, we would indeed be gone by now. I told the butler that if we didn't come back for a few years, the Sima family would belong to them. I wonder how it is now. Sima Yue said. We'll know when we go back and take a look. Sima Yuran said. Not long after Fatty Chu entered the city, he parted ways with them. He also wanted to go home first to see his own newbies, and ask them if they were willing to leave this place and go to the restless continent together. Sima Yue and her granddaughter were chatting and laughing as they walked towards the Sima residence. The people on the street all looked over in surprise when they saw them. That's Sima Jiangfeng and Sima Young Masters? They're really back. It's really them. Are they still leaving now that they're back? Haha, when fifth young master left, he said that he would be back. Now they're really back. Someone received the news and quickly ran towards the Sima residence. When Sima Yue and the others arrived, Uncle Fu had already brought the Sima family to welcome them at the entrance. Welcome back, Master and Young Master. Uncle Fu bowed deeply to them. Sima Yue went forward to support Uncle Fu and smiled. How has Uncle Fu been all these years? Good. Uncle Fu's eyes were filled with tears as he nodded. Let's go in and talk. Sima Lai patted Uncle Fu's shoulder when he saw that the surroundings were filled with people. Master and Young Master, please come in. Uncle Fu wiped the tears off his face and invited Sima Lai and the others in. The Sima residence was already different from when they left. The house had only been renovated a few years ago and looked new. Some places had already been changed. These were all designed by Young Master. Only a few places have changed. Everything else is about the same. Uncle Fu said when he saw Sima Lai and the others admiring the house. It's been hard on you. Sima Lai said as he looked at Sima Yue. When they were captured, everyone knew what kind of situation the Sima family was in. However, she had led everyone through it. If not for her alchemy and beast taming, the Sima family would have been finished. Sima Yue smiled and said, Grandfather, let's talk about serious matters with them. Okay. Sima Lai looked at Uncle Fu and said, We want to leave this continent and go to a better one. The main family is already preparing to leave. Are you willing to leave with us? Uncle Fu did not expect Sima Lai to say such explosive news the moment he returned. He was stunned for a moment before saying, Wherever Master goes, we will follow. Then go and ask the people in the family if they are willing to leave together. If they are willing, let them pack their things. If they are not willing, give them some of the property here. Sima Lai said, We are a little pressed for time. Let everyone make a decision as soon as possible. Yes, Master. I will bring you all to rest. After that, I will deal with this matter. Uncle Fu said. Uncle Fu brought them to the courtyard to rest. Then, without stopping, he sent people to call all the stewards in the capital back. 3 days later, Wei Ziqi brought the people from the Wei family over. The Chu family also sent news that they were already taking inventory of all their property. After a few more days, everyone was ready. Sima Yue and Sima Lai took some time to look for the old principal of the academy. The old principal was very happy to see them. However, when they invited him earlier, he rejected them. He could not let go of the students here. He could not abandon them and leave by himself. Sima Yue did not force him. Not everyone had to make the same choice. On the contrary, the old principal who gave up on leaving for the sake of the students was worthy of her respect. Today, Fatty Chu brought the Chu family over. Sima Yue did not want to leave anyone behind. She called Little Peng and brought everyone away. Dongqing Kingdom. She probably would not come back in the future. It was the first time that the Wei family and the Chu family left the Dongqing Kingdom. If they wanted to live after leaving, they would have to rely on the Sima family. However, Wei Ziqi and Fatty Chu did their best to ensure that the Sima family was good and would not mistreat them. Only then did they decide to leave. When they returned to Anyang City, the Sima family had already taken inventory of their property. They could leave at any time. Yue, someone is looking for you. She saw Sima Yuyang the moment she returned. Looking for me? Who is it? Sima Yue did not know who would look for her at this time. Could it be that master had come? She let Sima Yuyang help to arrange for the Chu and Wei families. She went to the living room of the main courtyard. The moment she entered, she saw a house full of people. Some she knew, some she didn't. When those people saw her enter, they were all excited. Clan leader. Sima Yue bowed to Sima Tai. Yue, they said that they want to leave with us. What do you think? Remember, it's convenient for the next time. Chapter 405. Sima Yu glanced around. The Hua clan, Sang clan, and even the Li clan were there. When they saw her looking over, everyone smiled at them. The matter of the Sima family taking stock of their family assets was not a secret. At first, no one knew what they were going to do. But later on, someone leaked the news, and the news that the Sima family was going to leave the Yilin continent spread. Thus, those who had ideas could no longer sit still. The major families had been in contact with a lot of things, and naturally knew some clues. They wanted to pursue greater strength, and naturally wanted to break away from the shackles of this place. The Hua family and the Sang family had a good relationship with the Sima family, so there wasn't much pressure for them to come here. The Li family felt that they had some ties with Sima Yue. Although they had some unhappiness in the past, she still managed to snatch him back. The Nailin clan had initially wanted to come, but when they thought of the grudge between them, they knew that it would be useless even if they came. They might as well wait for all these people to leave, and then their clan would dominate the Yilin continent. Yue, our two families can be considered old friends. If you're leaving, please take us with you. The Hua family's patriarch said with a smile. Patriarch, you can make the decision on this matter. I have no objections. I don't care who you want to bring and how you want to live there. Sima Yue said, Master, I still have some matters to attend to. I'll take my leave first. After saying that, she left the hall. She believed that Sima Tai, that sly old fox, would definitely not be at a disadvantage. Who would be allowed to go, and what kind of price they would have to pay. He would definitely obtain more benefits for the clan, so there was no need for her to worry. Anyway, it didn't matter if she brought one person or a group of people. It didn't really matter. After settling the Chu clan and Wei clan, Sima Yue, Bei Gongtang and Ouyang Fei went to South Yu Kingdom. Ouyang Fei wanted to ask his mother for her opinion, while she wanted to go to the sacred city to take a look. She and Bei Gongtang had gone to Sacred City. Thinking back to the time when they had come here and experienced all those dangers, she sighed in her heart. She always felt that the creature suppressed below had something to do with them. She also had a feeling that she might come back here for it one day. The two of them went to the Sacred City. The Sima family had already evacuated. They went straight to the middle of the city. The one who opened the door was still Lu Yun. When she saw Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang, she cried out in disbelief, causing her two brothers to run out of the house. It's just the three of you at home. Where's the road name? Sima Yue stepped into the courtyard and asked with a smile. Are you looking for second brother? He's at the Union. I'll call him back. Lu Yuan ran out after saying that. Young Master Sima, Miss Beigong, please have a seat. Xia Yuan Meng served tea to the two of them. Sima Yue and Beigong Tang sat under a big tree in the courtyard and chatted with Lu Yuan and the others, asking them about their recent lives. After a while, Lu Ming came back. When he saw Sima Yue, he was also very excited. Sima Yue smiled and said, Since both of you are here, I will tell you the reason for my visit. You should have heard about the Sima family leaving the holy city, right? Yes. Lu Yuan and the others nodded. It's like this. Our Sima family is planning to leave this continent and move to another continent to live. I want to ask you, are you willing to leave with us? Sima Yue said. Leave this place. The Lu siblings looked at Sima Yue in shock. They had never thought of leaving this continent. Sima Yue briefly explained the difference between the two continents, then said, Lu Ming, you know alchemy. If you go there, you can live with the Sima family. We need to think about it. Lu Ming said. It had to be said that this was a good opportunity for development. However, they were still hesitant to leave the place where they grew up. Think about it carefully. We will come back in 2 days. Sima Yue said as she stood up and left the holy city with Beigong Tang. The two of them went to 10,000 Beast Mountain. Not long after they left, they entered the Spirit Pagoda and stayed there for 10 days before coming out. When they saw the Lu siblings, Lu Ming's first words were, We will go with you. They did not have anything to worry about here. As long as the siblings were together, it was the same anywhere. I still have to go and tell the Union. Lu Ming said. Okay, we will leave in half a day. Sima Yue said. Lu Yuan and the others packed up their belongings. Lu Ming went to the Union to tell them that they were leaving. Sima Yue and Beigong Tang sat under a big tree in the courtyard, drinking tea and chatting. Half a day later, they left the holy city. At the foot of Dragon Reflection Mountain, in the thick black fog, a pair of eyes quietly opened. It only closed again when Sima Yue and the others flew over Dragon Reflection Mountain. Sima Yue and the others went to South Yu Kingdom and met Ouyang Fei. He was waiting for them alone. He said that Sang Muyu did not want to leave. His grandfather and the others did not want to leave either. He did not force them and planned to embark on the journey alone. The group returned to Anyang City, and everyone was ready to leave. When they saw Sima Yue, everyone's eyes were filled with excitement. When she came back, she found out that Sima Tai had agreed to the requests of the clans. However, he had put forward a condition. They could only bring the clan's disciples and not outsiders. Furthermore, they had to rely on the Sima family. Hence, it was best for everyone to form a new power and not exist in the form of a clan. Since there were fewer people from the other clans going, the new power would naturally be decided by the Sima family. When everyone was ready, everyone turned to look at Sima Yue. They all wanted to ask her when they could leave, but no one had the courage to do so. Sima Yue was not in a hurry. She stayed in her courtyard and fiddled with some medicinal ingredients all day long, refining some powder. She completely ignored the gazes of those people. After another 10 days, Old Man Devil finally arrived. The moment he arrived, he stared at Little Meng, who was playing with Sima Yue in the courtyard. Little Meng's sharp senses sensed that someone was coming. Just as she was about to attack, she was stopped by Sima Yue. She said, That's Master. Don't be afraid. Old Man Devil came to Sima Yue's side and looked at Little Meng. He said, Where did you get this dark magic beast? I found it in the sea. Sima Yue said, Didn't I tell you to come earlier? Why did you take so long? I was delayed by some matters. Old Man Devil said, Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's go. I'll take you to see them. Sima Yue held Little Meng's hand and went outside. She let Sima Tai gather everyone. Old Man Devil looked at the people on the mountain top and pursed his lips. He said, So many people? I can't build a stable passage that can support everyone. I know. Sima Yue said. Every time she saw them enter the passage would close. She knew that the passage could not be maintained for long. If you know, then why did you get me so many people? Old Man Devil glared at her. I didn't say that I wanted all of them to go through the passage. Sima Yue said as she took out a medicine bottle. A fragrance floated out. The surrounding people who smelled the fragrance all fainted on the ground. Chapter 406. Yue, what happened to them? Sima Lai and the rest looked at her in shock when they saw that everyone had collapsed. Sima Tai, what did you do to us? Those who had not fainted shouted at Sima Tai. Sima Tai didn't know what was going on either. He looked at Sima Yue in astonishment. At the same time, Wei Ziqi, Sima Yu Yang and the others who were scattered amongst the crowd also took out the same medicine bottles and opened the corks. Bang! Bang! People fell one after another. Those who didn't know what was going on felt a sense of fear in their hearts. If the Sima family wanted to do anything to them, they had no power to resist at all. Sima Yue looked at the angry family heads and said, Don't worry, when you wake up, you will already be in the restless continent. It's just that this process needs to be kept secret, so I'll have to trouble everyone. The family heads wanted to say something, but even they couldn't resist Sima Yue's bewitching incense, and fell down one after another. Even the Sima family was no exception. In the end, apart from Sima Yu Yang and a few others who had taken the antidote in advance and didn't faint, only Yin Yi and Old Man Devil were left. Old Man Devil looked at the people in the mountain and said, How do you plan on taking them away? That's easy. Sima Yue waved her hand, and all the people on the mountains were sent into her spirit pagoda. What kind of treasure is this? Old Man Devil asked in surprise. Sima Yue smiled and brought the rest of the people in. Old Man Devil's reaction when he entered the spirit pagoda was similar to the others. However, he quickly regained his senses and looked at Sima Yue. I didn't expect you to have such a treasure. Not bad, not bad. Second Valley Lord, you don't know, but time passes faster here than outside. 1 day outside is 10 days inside. Uni was very excited when she said this. This was simply a super cheat. Old Man Devil raised his eyebrows. There was actually such a function? Master, let me show you around. Sima Yue said with a smile. All right. Sima Yue and Old Man Devil took a tour of the place where they lived, and Old Man Devil was amazed, especially when he found out that it was actually a 7-layered pagoda. He was even more shocked. This 7-layered pagoda used to be the guardian treasure of a super sect above. It has been lost for a long time. I didn't think that you would be able to obtain it. Master, since the tour is over, let's get moving. Sima Yue said. Okay. Old Man Devil knew that Sima Yue was in a hurry to go there. Sima Yue brought him out. He created a tunnel in the air. Just as they were about to leave, a figure flew over in a hurry. Please wait a moment. That person saw the passage in the air and called out. When Sima Yue saw who it was, she was stunned for a moment before she called Ouyang Fei over. When Ouyang Fei saw her, he exclaimed, Mother! Sang Muyu flew over and saw that Ouyang Fei was still there. She rejoiced and said, Luckily you haven't left yet. Mother, why are you here? Ouyang Fei asked. Sang Muyu looked at her son lovingly and said, My parents have many children, but I only have you as my son. Mother, are you leaving with me? Ouyang Fei asked excitedly. Sang Muyu smiled and nodded. When Ouyang Fei came back and told her that he was leaving, she was indeed hesitant. Because her family was unwilling to leave, she didn't want to leave. However, when Ouyang Fei left, she realized that she would never be able to see her son again. She regretted it and chased after him with her mother's support. Luckily she made it in time. When she saw Ouyang Fei, her anxious heart finally calmed down. It seemed that her decision to chase after him was the right one. Yue. Ouyang Fei looked at Sima Yue excitedly. Sima Yue smiled and said, It's great that Auntie can leave with us. Since that's the case, let's bring her in. Ouyang Fei wanted to ask if they should follow the others, but heard her say, Auntie will definitely follow you in the future. It's okay if she knows about this. You guys can go in. As she said that, she kept Ouyang Fei and Sang Muyu into her spirit pagoda. Sang Muyu didn't understand Sima Yoyue's words when she saw her surroundings change. She was already in another place. Wei Ziqi and the rest were surprised when they saw Sang Muyu, but they all went forward and bowed. Greetings to Auntie. Sang Muyu grabbed Ouyang Fei's hand and said, Fei or this? Mother, don't be afraid. This is Yoyue's place. I'll bring you around and tell you about this place. Ouyang Fei held his mother's hand and said, Okay. Outside, Old Man Devil looked at Sima Yue and said, Let's go. If we don't go, the passage is going to close. Master, please. The two of them entered the passage. At the same time, a few people flew over from afar. They wanted to rush in before the passage closed, but the moment they stepped in, they were hit by an attack. Pung! 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 Those people fell directly to the ground, gritting their teeth in pain. They could only watch as the passageway closed. We just wanted to borrow the passage, but he actually chased us out. That damned old man. The Nailing clan's patriarch stood up and touched his waist. As for the others, they were also elders of the Nailing clan. Just as he finished cursing, the passage opened up again, making everyone happy. However, before they could fly up again, a hand formed from spiritual energy reached out from the passage and grabbed the Nailing clan's patriarch. With a pung sound, he was crushed into a bloody mist. After that, the passage closed up again. The elders of the Nailing clan stared blankly at the place where their patriarch was standing. Smelling the bloody smell in the air, they were stunned. The patriarch is dead. On a mountain peak somewhere in the restless continent, a passage slowly opened up in the air, and two figures walked out. Okay, I'm going back up, Old Man Devil said as he came out. Sima Yue bowed to Old Man Devil and said, Master, take care. How much scarlet honey do you have? I don't know when I'll see you again. Give me some, I'll use it for alchemy. Old Man Devil stared at Sima Yue as she asked him to leave. Master, don't you have a lot of scarlet bees? Sima Yue rolled her eyes at Old Man Devil. As a master, he didn't give his disciple a gift before leaving, and instead asked her for something. How embarrassing. How can the scarlet bees produce enough honey for me? Old Man Devil said. I knew it. Sima Yue took out a palm-sized glass bottle and handed it to Old Man Devil. It was filled with scarlet honey. I've already prepared it for you. Only this much. Old Man Devil stared. This is the spatial container that Fatty only learned how to refine recently. If you think it's too little, then give it back. Sima Yue pretended to snatch it back. Old Man Devil probed it with his mental energy and found that it was half the size of a house. It was filled with scarlet honey. He laughed as he opened the passage and left. Go up when you reach God rank. Those bastards all want to see you. Old Man Devil's voice came from the spatial passage. Chapter 407. Sima Yue didn't think much of Old Man Devil's last words. Those people wanted to see her, just like Ying Baichuan, to see if she was qualified to be a junior valley master. She wasn't in the mood to deal with these people. She looked around and found that they were in the mountain range not far from the Yun family. Back then, they had been in seclusion here for half a year. She called out Yuni, Beigong Tang and the others and flew towards the Yun family. Very quickly, she saw the Yun family's mansion. Seeing that Yuni and Sima Yue had returned, Yun Jinwei was very happy and said, Junior Valley Master has returned at the right time. The Zhang clan and the Sage Pavilion have been making some moves recently, and have decided to use force to suppress us. Si Ming and I were just talking yesterday. If you guys don't come back soon, you'll miss it. They had also agreed that if Sima Yue really did not come back, they would keep the Zhang family's assets for them for a period of time. If she came back, they would still give her part of the Zhang family's assets. After all, if it weren't for the divinity elixir she gave them, they wouldn't have so many god-level personnel. Now that she was back, It was even better. She could personally participate in the battle, and she wouldn't feel awkward putting away her things. It seems like you guys have come up with a plan yesterday, Sima Yue said confidently. The Junior Valley Master is indeed intelligent. After we received news from the Zhang clan and the Sage Pavilion, we came up with a countermeasure. Yin Jinwei smiled and said, in the end, we came up with 2 plans. One was when you returned, and the other was when you didn't. Now that you're back, the other plan is useless. The Sage Pavilion really wants to stand on the same side as the Zhang clan, Sima Yue said. Ever since she found out from Old Man Devil that the upper echelons could not interfere with the lower echelons, she was no longer afraid of going against the Sage Pavilion. Daring to team up with others to kill the Divine Devil Valley's people in the Little Realm, the enmity between the Sage Pavilion and the Divine Devil Valley had been completely formed. Ming should still be with us today. I will send someone to invite him over, Yin Jinwei said. If he knows that you are back, he will definitely be very happy. Yunfeng, bring the Junior Valley Master back to his courtyard to rest. Yes, father. Yunfeng replied. Yin Jinwei bowed to Sima Yue and turned to leave. Junior Valley Master, please. Yunfeng gestured for Sima Yue to go first. Xiaoming held Sima Yue's hand and said, Master, the house here is so big. It's even bigger than the Sima family. Does little Meng like to live in a big house? Sima Yue lowered her head and asked with a smile. Little Dream thinks the big house looks good. Little Dream looked left and right, very curious. How about we ask them to build a big house later? Good master is so good, Little Dream said with a smile. When Yunfeng, who was following behind Sima Yue, heard Xiaoming call Sima Yue master, he looked at Xiaoming in surprise. If she called Sima Yue her master, wouldn't she be a beast in human form? It was his first time seeing a beast in human form at such a young age. He remembered that Sima Yue did not have such a beast by her side before she left. Then when did she take Xiaoming in? He looked at Yuni, and Yuni shook her head at him, indicating that he should not ask too much. Sima Yue and the others went to the courtyard where they lived before. Because they knew that they would return, the courtyard was left empty for them, and people came to clean it every day. Yuni and Yunfeng left after bringing them here. Yue, when do you plan to bring those people out? Wei Ziqi waited for them to disappear before asking. To be safe, his family members had also fainted. Although it would not affect their bodies, he still wanted them to come out as soon as possible. Once we settle the Zhan family's matter, we will let them out, Sima Yue said. There were more people here. Now that the Yun and Gua families were fighting against the Zhan family and the Sage Pavilion, they probably did not have much time to arrange for them. It was better to let them sleep quietly in the Spirit Pagoda. That's good too. It's so chaotic now. It's not good if they come out injured or get hurt by the Zhan family. Fatty Chu nodded. When the Zhan and Yin family patriarchs come, we will ask them for the details, Sima Yue said. Now we will think of a way to find out some information. How? Fatty Chu asked. Naturally, we will make use of our powerful helpers. Sima Yue smiled mysteriously. It's the scarlet bees, Bei Gong Tang said. Sima Yue nodded. In a while, let the Yin family patriarch find some people to bring the scarlet bees to the Sage Pavilion, and the Zhan family to find out. They have a natural contract with the Scarlet Queen Bee. Even if they are far away, the Scarlet Queen Bee will be able to hear the news they send back. Won't the scarlet bees be too conspicuous? Ouyang Fei was a little worried that the scarlet bees would be recognized. Sima Yue took out a scarlet bee and let it transform. The scarlet bee's body became smaller and smaller, until it was no different from a normal bee. Hee, these little guys should be good at eavesdropping in the future. Fatty Chu stretched out his hand to poke the scarlet bee and said, That's right. Wei Ziqi agreed. Furthermore, there are many of them and they are faster. The most important thing is that they can hide the fluctuations of spiritual energy in their bodies. They look like normal bees and won't attract attention. That was what she thought when she used the scarlet bees to find out information in Forgotten Worry Island. It would be very convenient to use them to find out information in the future. After a while, Guo Ximing and Yun Jinwei came together. When they saw her, he bowed deeply and said, "Many thanks to the Junior Valley Master for the divinity pill. It has allowed the Guo family to have 5 more divine ranks. Patriarch Guo is too courteous. That was the condition of our exchange. You don't have to thank me," Sima Yue said. "Now, let's talk about the current situation and the countermeasures you have decided on," Yun Jinwei suggested. "All right. Before that, I need Patriarch Yun to do something," Sima Yue said. 10 minutes later, a group of guards each brought a cage covered in cloth and left the Yun residence. They used the teleportation array to go to different cities. The people from the Spirit Master Guild saw the Yun family members leave one by one with the cages. Nobody knew what was inside. Yun Jinwei and the others initially thought that Sima Yue's actions were superfluous. However, because of their relationship, he still sent people to do as Sima Yue said. After that, Sima Yue asked them to come back the next day to discuss the matter. On the morning of the second day, Yun Jinwei and Guo Ximing came to look for her again. "Junior Valley Master, according to the information we received, the Zhan family will gather their forces in this half a month and attack us," Yun Jinwei said. "Our people are scattered all over the continent. We will send people to gather them. It will take about half a month for them to come and go. This time is just right," Guo Ximing said. Sima Yue smiled and said, "But the truth is not like that." Chapter 408. The truth wasn't like that? Junior Valley Master, you're saying that the news we received was wrong? Yun Jinwei said. That's right. Sima Yue nodded, saying, the chi that we sent out yesterday came back in the middle of the night, saying that the Zhan clan and the Sage Pavilion are preparing to attack your 2 clans in 5 days. It's 10 days earlier than the news you received. They're attacking in 5 days? Didn't they not gather their men yet? Guo Ximing said. No, they had already started gathering them half a month ago. Sima Yue said. They knew that you had people hiding over there, so they beat you at your own game. They purposely let those people get the news and pass it on to you. They purposely confused you and let you slowly gather your men. Then they'll attack first and catch you off guard. Really? The 2 clan heads were shocked. If what Sima Yue said was true, then they were in danger this time. They had a few divine ranks that would only return after 12 days. If the Zhang clan attacked first, then their divine ranks would definitely be inferior. One had to know that one more divine rank could completely change the situation. Moreover, they had a few fewer divine ranks than the enemy. Then we should hurry them and get them to come back quickly, Yun Jinwei said. It's too late, Guo Ximing said. Those that were sent out by our 2 clans are all far away. Those that are close have already returned. Those that are far away will need a few days to come back. Beat them at their own game. I didn't think that our men would be discovered, Yun Jinwei said. Then what do we do now? What else can we do? They have a lot more divine ranks than us. If we fight them before all of our men return, we'll just be looking for death. Guo Ximing was very clear about the Zhang clan and the Sage Pavilion's power. He originally thought that it would be enough to get everyone back. He didn't think that the enemy would give them a smoke bomb, causing them to almost die where they were. He thought about it and said, from what I see, we can only retreat temporarily and avoid their attack first. But once we escape, it'll be difficult to come back. Yun Jinwei said, that's still better than being completely wiped out. Guo Ximing was open-minded. Where there's life, there's hope. If we all die here, there's no hope at all. Is there really no other way? Yun Jinwei said bitterly. Everything had been planned out. But they didn't expect the other party to change the timing, making their plan completely useless. If it wasn't for Sima Yue, they would have been caught off guard. Alas, Guasiming sighed unwillingly. Sima Yue saw that the two of them were losing their morale the more they talked. She coughed twice and said, "How could you guys forget about me? I have people too." Guasiming shook his head and said, "Junior Valley Master, the situation is different now. Originally, with the addition of your newly ascended deities, we should be able to match them in strength. However, our deities usually go to other places in the clan, and these people make up a third of our deities. That's why we have 10 fewer deities than them." "That's right," Yin Jinwei sighed. "Although the Junior Valley Master has 2 sacred beasts, compared to them, we are still too weak. We can't compete with them." "Who said I only have 2 sacred beasts?" Sima Yue said faintly. "Even if you have 2 more, there's nothing we can do," Yin Jinwei said. It was already rare for a youngster to have 1 sacred beast as a contract beast, let alone 2. For someone like Sima Yue who had an extraordinary status, having 3 was already the best they could think of. That's why when Sima Yue said that, they subconsciously thought that she had 3 sacred beasts. "Indeed, I only have 2 sacred beasts," Sima Yue said, "but I have other spirit beasts. Although they haven't contracted with me, they have promised to listen to me." "Are you talking about the saber-toothed tiger and the snow wolf clan?" Yin Jinwei asked. Guasiming also wanted to ask about this. Both of them thought about what their children had said about Sima Yue having a group of sacred beasts. "That's right," Sima Yue nodded. "I heard from Pei Pei that many of them are spirit paragons. However, they have just left the little realm not too long ago. It's not that easy for them to become sacred beasts." Guasiming said, "Have you forgotten what I have in my hands?" Sima Yue said, "Are you talking about the divinity pill?" Yin Jinwei's eyes lit up, saying, "But isn't the divinity pill for humans to use? It's also effective for spirit beasts," Sima Yue replied. Yin Jinwei and Guasiming's eyes lit up. If that was the case, then how many sacred beasts did she have? "Junior Valley Master, how many sacred beasts does the Snow Wolf clan and the Saber-Toothed Tiger clan have?" Yin Jinwei asked. 38. Including my 2 contracted beasts, I have a total of 40 sacred beasts. Sima Yue said, "With this kind of power, do you still need to run?" SSS- Yin Jinwei and Guasiming sucked in a breath of air. She alone had 40 sacred beasts by her side. It was more than the 2 clans before they used the divinity pill. "Haha, we're not running anymore. We're not running anymore." Guasiming laughed loudly. This happiness came too suddenly. He felt as if he was on a roller coaster. He had just fallen from the peak to the bottom of the valley, and now he was flying from the bottom of the valley back to the peak. Although Yin Jinwei and Guasiming were happy, they were still shocked by the power of the spirit beasts by Sima Yue's side. This was enough to kill any clan. Since that's the case, then let's discuss how to deal with this matter. Sima Yue said, "Since the other party wants to beat us at our own game, we can also beat them at their own game." "All right," Yin Jinwei agreed. "They know that we won't be able to gather all of our people in a short period of time, so they sent all of their divine ranks to deal with us. With the divine ranks of our 2 clans, and the sacred beasts by the Junior Valley Master's side, it's enough to keep them all here." "That's right," Guasiming agreed. "We'll wait here for them to come, then we'll catch them off guard." Ha ha ha. The situation had changed too quickly. When they thought of the other party's expression, when they saw that their strength was far beyond their imagination, they were very happy. This time, they definitely had to keep the main forces of the Zhang clan and the Sage Pavilion here. Not only that, Sima Yue said, "According to the news I've received, they will bring most of their people here this time. They originally wanted to exterminate both of your clans. However, this has given us a chance. The Junior Valley Master wants to." Sima Yue smiled evilly. "Didn't they bring all of their people here? And the people from your 2 clans couldn't make it back in time? It's just nice that their rear is empty. Let those people go and take care of them. We'll settle it all in one go." Chapter 409. Junior Valley Master's idea is not bad. Since those people won't be able to make it back in time, why don't we let them raid the Zhang clan and the Sage Pavilion's nest? Yin Jinwei's eyes lit up. Then it's decided. I'll immediately arrange for people to inform those who can't make it back. Guo Siming said. All right, you guys go ahead. I'll let you guys know if there's any news. Sima Yue said. Throughout the entire process, she only needed to provide the personnel at the end. Everything else needed to be discussed between the two families, and had nothing to do with her. They naturally understood what Sima Yue meant, and left to arrange other things. Sima Yue had not been cultivating for the past few days. Instead, she had been reading the books that Old Man Devil had given her before he left. These were all precious books on refining high-grade elixirs. She had been replenishing her knowledge recently. Over the past few days, many High God Realm experts had come to the cities where the Yin and Guo family resided. However, once they left the Soul Master Guild, they disappeared without a trace. The people in charge of monitoring the two clans naturally sent the news back to their clans. When Yin Jinwei and Guo Siming heard the news, they rejoiced. Fortunately, Sima Yue had received the news in advance. Otherwise, they would not have discovered the abnormality in the city, and would not have taken precautions. On this day, Sima Yue finally put away her book and left the house. As soon as she went out, she saw Yuni waiting under the big tree in the courtyard. When he saw her come out, he stood up and said, Father asked me to take you directly to the front. Okay. Sima Yue nodded. Wei Ziqi and the others had already finished their preparations, and the group of them left the Bee courtyard and went to the main courtyard. The Snow Wolf clan and Saber-Toothed Tiger clan's sacred beasts had been sent out by her 2 days ago. One was from each clan, while the other was from the Spirit Beast clan. The Snow Wolf remained in the Yin clan. When Sima Yue and the rest walked over, they saw that the sky above the main courtyard was already filled with people. They had surrounded the entire Yin residence. Yin Jinwei brought the elders and stood in the courtyard. When he saw Sima Yue walking over, he bowed to her. Sima Yue nodded, then looked at the people in white robes in the sky and said, Are these people from the Sage Pavilion? Yes, young Valley Master. The Zhang clan has gone to the Guo clan, and the Sage Pavilion has come to our place. Is the person in charge here? Sima Yue asked. Their pavilion lord did not come, but the vice pavilion lord brought the Holy Sun. Yin Jinwei replied. The young man in the middle is the Holy Sun. Sima Yue glanced at the Holy Sun, saying, You've just become a spirit paragon. You're so weak, but you dare to join in the fun. The Holy Sun saw that Sima Yue had arrived, and Yin Jinwei was very respectful to her. He was suspicious of her identity, and wanted to find out who she was from their conversation. However, he did not expect her to look down on his strength. He said angrily, Who are you to dare say that I am weak? Sima Yue did not like to raise her head to talk to others. She leapt into the air and said, If I were you, I would obediently hide in the sacred palace and not come out. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know how I died. I don't care who you are. Today, you are unlucky to be with the Yin clan. Today, no one from the Yin clan will leave here alive. The Holy Sun snorted. TSK, TSK, TSK. Didn't you say that the Sage Pavilion is the messenger of the Light God, and that they love all living things? They are really vicious when it comes to killing people. Sima Yue said. Your Yin clan secretly gathered forces to harm the Zhang clan and destroy the balance of power in the continent. As the protectors of the continent, we naturally have to uphold justice and exterminate you people who harm the citizens. The Holy Sun shouted. The Yin clan patriarch also came up. He glanced coldly at the Sage Pavilion and said, Your Sage Pavilion and the Zhang clan joined forces to exterminate my Yin clan. You even said that we wanted to harm the citizens. If you want to find an excuse, you should find a better one. However, since you are here today, we have accepted it. Since you are here, you can stay. Yin Jinwei, do you think we don't know what you are doing in secret? The Vice Pavilion Master stood beside the Holy Sun and looked at Yin Jinwei. You want to exterminate the Zhang clan and weaken the Sage Pavilion's power. Naturally, we will not agree. We know that you are secretly calling back your divine ranks, but they can't come back. Today, we will exterminate your Yun clan, and then take care of your remaining members. You want to exterminate my Yun clan? What a joke. Yin Jinwei said fearlessly. Humph. Don't think that we don't know that you have planted people in the Zhang clan and the Sage Pavilion. The Vice Pavilion Master said. You didn't think that we would beat you at your own game and let them send back false information. At the same time, we have planted people here and know that your people can't come back. Yin Jinwei looked at the Vice Pavilion Master with a look of disdain and said, If you know how to beat us at our own game, why can't we? We have already discovered your people long ago. We will return them to you now. The moment he finished speaking, a few people were thrown out, and all of them stopped breathing. The Vice Pavilion Master lowered his head to look. Those people were the spies that the Sage Pavilion had planted. Looking at Yin Jinwei's calm expression, he didn't seem to be flustered at all. His heart skipped a beat, and an ominous premonition began to spread. However, thinking that the Yun clan's people really couldn't come back, they were sure of this news, so he calmed down. However, Yin Jinwei's next move made him feel as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. Yin Jinwei clapped his hands, and a group of divine ranks flew over. There were only 10 of them. You want to fight us with just these few divine ranks? The Holy Sun didn't think much of the Yun clan. Yin Jinwei smiled and said, Look behind you. The Sage Pavilion's people turned their heads and saw that a group of sacred beasts and high-leveled divine beasts had surrounded them. 20 sacred beasts. The Vice Pavilion Master's face darkened. Just these sacred beasts were enough to exterminate them, not to mention the Yun clan's people. Why are there so many sacred beasts? The Holy Sun saw the snow wolves surrounding them and was so scared that he almost fell from the sky. Good Yun clan. You actually dared to set up a cloud of suspicion and led us into a trap. The Vice Pavilion Master said through gritted teeth. You're so thick-skinned. Fatty Chu said. These people came to exterminate the Yun clan as a matter of course, but they became the victims after being set up. They had seen shameless people before, but they had never seen people as shameless as them. Why are you still talking nonsense? Just go and exterminate them. Fatty Chu said. Yun clan, listen to my orders. Leave all of the Sage Pavilion's people behind. Yin Jinwei ordered. Yes. The Yun clan's people replied in unison, their voices booming like thunder. The Sage Pavilion's people panicked, and the Vice Pavilion Master shouted, Yun Jinwei, if you dare to kill my Sage Pavilion's people, my Pavilion Master will definitely avenge us. Yun Jinwei laughed loudly. My Yun clan's elders have already gone to your Sage Pavilion's main pavilion. I'm afraid that your Pavilion Master has already gone ahead of you. Go. Chapter 410. But they didn't think that there would be so many sacred beasts. Everyone's morale immediately soared. Receiving their own patriarch's orders, everyone attacked the people from the Sage Pavilion. The morale of the Sage Pavilion's people was originally very high, but after seeing the sacred beast, they were all stunned, and their morale never returned. Facing the attacks of the Yun family, they could only passively defend. Those divine-ranked experts were taken away by those sacred beasts. In the end, it was almost 1 against 2, and they weren't able to fight at all. Not long after, the people from the Sage Pavilion were all killed. The rain of blood and fog shrouded the entire Yun residence. There were bloodstains everywhere in the courtyard, and the air was filled with the thick smell of blood. After the battle ended, Yun Jinwei let the fire spirit masters use their flames to burn the bloodstains. Then, he let the water spirit masters wash it a few times before cleaning it up. When the people from the Sage Pavilion had arrived at the Yun clan, many of them had hidden and watched. They had originally thought that there would be an earth-shattering battle, and the Yun clan would disappear from the restless continent. They never thought that the battle would end so quickly, and the result was beyond their expectations. The The Sage Pavilion was completely annihilated. When everyone saw this result, they were extremely shocked. They were extremely curious about the sudden appearance of the sacred beast. How could the Yin family have so many sacred beasts? Now that the Sage Pavilion had been destroyed, the entire continent's situation was going to change. Just as the Yin clan and the Sage Pavilion were fighting, the Gua clan and the Zhang clan were also fighting. The Zhang family thought that they had the upper hand and could kill the Gua family so that they could snatch their assets. However, they didn't expect that not only did they fail to eliminate the Gua family, but they also lost their lives. It was obvious that their people had not returned yet. This was an excellent opportunity, but it was destroyed by a group of sacred beasts. Until the moment they died, they still didn't understand how all of this had happened. Both sides settled their opponents on this day. Soon after, those who didn't rush back to change their route to challenge the backlands also replied one after another. They were all settled. The Sage Pavilion and the Zhang clan had been destroyed in just a few days. This news caused a huge uproar in the entire continent. Those were the two strongest forces in the restless continent. Although the Yin family and the Gua family were first-rate forces, there was still a certain gap between the two. Even if a first-rate force wanted to annex a second-rate force, it would take a long time, not to mention dealing with a second-rate force. Later on, people gradually came to know about the sacred beasts, and they finally understood why they were so fast. However, they also started to be curious about where the sacred beasts came from. However, what made them even more curious was the sudden appearance of the Yilin clan. There were quite a few people in the Yilin continent who knew of them, but this was the first time they had heard of the Yilin clan, and they were extremely curious about them, especially when he heard that this family was made up of many surnames. Furthermore, they had just arrived and had already received the protection of the Yun and Gua families. The strangest thing was that their assets were actually the assets of the Zhan family. Could it be that those sacred beasts belonged to the Yilin clan? Was that why they treated them so courteously? No matter how curious the people outside were, there wasn't much news about the Yilin clan. At this time, in a city not too far away from the Yin and Gua families, Sima Yue and the others were in a large house, instructing the servants to take inventory of the assets in each house. This was the property of the Zhan family in Ink City, and it was said to be one of the bigger ones. This house was one of the courtyards of the Zhan family. However, it was now Sima Yue's. They planned to set up the Yilin clan here. This place was not too far away from the Gua and Yun families, and was in a triangular shape. If anything happened to the Yilin clan, the Yin and Gua families would not be too far away. This Yilin clan was decided by everyone. A few days ago, Sima Yue and Sima Yue went to a few places, and finally chose Ink City. After that, they informed Yun Jinwei and Gua Ming, and brought everyone here. In a valley outside the city, those who had been drugged by Sima Yue were all brought out. She took out the antidote, and let everyone sprinkle it in the air. When everyone smelled it, they slowly woke up. Sima Yue, what's going on? The Hua and Zhan family members woke up and shouted when they saw Sima Yue. It was obvious that everyone's memories were still stuck at the time before they were drugged. I said before that I would bring you all here. This process has to be kept a secret, and there's nothing else. Sima Yue said. Those people saw that the Sima family members were treated the same as them, and also saw an unfamiliar place. They could feel the spiritual energy that was many times denser, and asked happily, "This is the restless continent?" Sima Yue nodded, and then got Sima Yang to explain the situation to everyone. The people from the Yilin continent looked at Sima Yue with wide eyes after they heard it. Not only had she brought them here, she had even settled their future. They had initially thought that they would become wanderers after they came here, but now that they had the support of strong financial resources and the protection of two great powers, it was not impossible for them to gain a foothold here. I know that the clan leader has told you all to listen to the Sima family when you come here, but I'll say it first. We plan to establish a Yilin clan, and form a new power with everyone, so that everyone can rely on to survive in this foreign continent. Everyone looked at each other and saw the same expression. They knew that no one knew about this before, and started to discuss it. Sima Yue waved her hands and got everyone to quiet down. She continued, "The cultivation environment here is better than the Yilan continent, but at the same time, it is more cruel. If you want to survive here, you have to support each other. That's why we can't keep people here who are not loyal to us. I'll give you a chance to leave now. You don't have to care about the conditions that I gave you before, and you can leave freely, but whether you live or die in the future, it has nothing to do with us." She paused and looked at their reactions, then said, "If you leave now, we won't say anything. But if you don't leave now, and do something that lets everyone down in the future, then I'm sorry. We'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. We'll also let you know what it means to beg for death." Her words carried an aura of power, letting everyone know that she was not just saying it. If anyone really did something that let everyone down, they would definitely not have a good ending. "We're willing to stay with everyone." Many people expressed their views. They were all smart people, and naturally knew that in this kind of world, it was impossible for outsiders like them to live a good life. Now that they finally had a good environment, how could they give it up? Chapter 411. Seeing that everyone had agreed, Sima Yue discussed the name of the new force with everyone. Everyone felt that since they came from the Yilan continent, they would call it the Yilan clan. After a discussion, they decided that Sima Tai would be the family head, and the family heads of the other factions would be the elders. The family elders would still be the family elders. If anything happened, they would just have to protect the family. As for the other details, Sima Yue left it to Sima Tai and the rest to discuss among themselves. Right now, they were going to take over the Zhan family's assets. Seeing so many people enter the city at once, the city guards were a little surprised. They secretly sent someone to inform the city lord. The Mo City's city lord was originally a member of the Zhan clan. However, in this incident, both of them had been wiped out. A city lord had appeared out of nowhere in Mo City. In less than 2 days, he had taken over Mo City's forces and became the publicly acknowledged city lord. When the city lord found out that those people had gone to the Zhan residence, he didn't say anything. He only instructed them not to bother about them and not to provoke them. In less than 2 days, Yun Jinwei and Guosiming came personally to ask about the Yilin clan's establishment. When they saw the people inside and outside the clan, they were shocked. So many people, how did they get here? The two families had just taken over the Zhan family's power, and naturally needed time to digest it. Sima Yue expressed her gratitude to them for coming over at this time. She directly asked Sima Tai and the others to talk to them. Yun Jinwei and Guosiming saw that although these people's strength wasn't high, their brains were very good. Although they had just arrived on the continent, they were very methodical in their arrangements. They only asked for advice on a few things, but most of the time, they made their own decisions. They stayed for 2 days, and then returned, saying that they would send someone else to help them. Before the two of them left, Sima Yue gave them the remaining 5 divinity pills. Very quickly, the representatives from the Gua and Yun families arrived with a list of names and locations of the shops and forces that the Yilan family would be taking over. Sima Yue looked around and realized that they were all near Mo City. Those that were further away were divided between the two families. After reading it, she sighed at how meticulous the other party was. He knew that they didn't have a lot of manpower, so he gave them the closest ones, so that it would be easier for them to manage in the future. A month later, the Yilan clan was officially back on track. Everything was under control, and the shops were reopened. Of course, the support of the 2 first-rate clans was indispensable. On this day, Sima Yue called Sima Tai, Patriarch Hua, and all the other peak spiritual venerables in the family over. "Yue, I still have a lot of things to deal with. Why did you call us here?" Sima Tai looked unhappily at a certain someone who was leisurely drinking tea in a corner of the living room. This fellow only knew how to throw things to him. She clearly could have done it faster and better, but she just didn't do it. She really didn't know how to respect her elders. When Sima Yue saw that most of the people had arrived, she poured a cup of tea for Sima Tai and said, "Of course I called you all here for something important." Although Sima Yue was the head of the family on the surface, the one who had the final say was Sima Yue. "What's the matter that brought everyone here?" After drinking a cup of tea, Sima Tai's anger had subsided. Sima Yue loved to see the sly old fox stomping his feet. Who asked him to set her up back then? She was someone who held grudges. With a wave of her hand, a few bottles appeared in front of everyone. "Since you're all here, you should know about the deal I made with the Yin and Guo families. I used the divinity pills in exchange for our current assets." Sima Yue said. Who were Sima Tai and the others? They naturally knew about the divinity pills and the benefits it brought to the Guo and Yin families. "These are the divinity pills?" The head of the Hua family looked at the jade bottles excitedly. "That's right," Sima Yue said. "Although we have a sacred beast now, we don't have any divine-ranked people. It will be difficult for us to gain a foothold here." "That's right." The head of the Sang family nodded. After coming to this continent, other than helping their families get on the right track, they spent the rest of their time understanding the situation of this continent. They already had a preliminary understanding of the rules of this world. "I know that each family used to have a spirit paragon peak elder. Now that we're all one, there's no need to differentiate between you and me. These divinity pills are for you. I hope that you can use them when the time is right, and create a few divine-ranked experts for us." Sima Yue said. "You're really giving these divinity pills to us?" The head of the Hua family said excitedly. Sima Yue nodded, saying, "In the future, as long as anyone in the family reaches the Spirit Paragon Peak, they will be able to obtain a divinity pill." Head of the Hua family, this shouldn't be a problem, right? Sima Tai's eyebrows twitched, saying, "You're an alchemist. If you say it's not a problem, then it's not a problem." "That's good." Sima Yue took out a piece of paper and handed it over with a smile. "What's this?" Sima Tai took it and looked at it. He almost fainted from shock. "These are the ingredients for the divinity pills?" "Yes and no," Sima Yue said. "These are the ingredients for the divinity pills, but not all of them. I've prepared most of the ingredients myself. Only these ingredients are harder to find, so I wanted you to keep an eye out for them. If there are any, then collect them. These aren't all of them." The family heads looked at the ingredients on the paper and sucked in a breath. In the end, she said that it wasn't all of them. "These ingredients aren't even half of them," Sima Yue said honestly. "No wonder people outside said that the divinity pills are hard to make. Just these ingredients alone aren't easy to gather." Family head Sang said. "These ingredients are one thing, but the refining method is another. So even if this divinity pill is only a 6th level pill, it's not something that anyone can refine." Sima Yue said. "Haha, our family has so many of these priceless items." "Not bad, not bad," Sima Tai said with a smile. "I'll ask everyone to keep an eye out for these things and collect them when they come across them. Then let's distribute these divinity pills to everyone now. I think that it won't be long before our family will have a divine-level expert to oversee it." Sima Yue said. "Thank you, Yue." Everyone thought about it and called her by her name. Logically speaking, she was their junior, so it was fine for them to call her by her name. However, knowing her identity as the young Valley Master, and knowing her position in the entire family, Guo family and Yin family, they felt that they shouldn't treat her as a junior. It was a little awkward for a moment. Sima Yue smiled and said, "I'll give you all the divinity pills I have now. If you need them in the future, I'll refine more." Okay. Everyone took a divinity pill each and left excitedly. Among them, there were already 2 people who were nearing the end of their lives. If they could break through to the divine level, they would be able to live for at least a few hundred years. So this was a chance to be reborn, and they had to treasure it. "Yue, Uni is looking for you." Feeling a fluctuation, Sima Yue took out the mother-son stone, and Bei Gongtang's voice came from it. Chapter 412. Sima Yue went out and saw Uni. "Why are you here?" she asked. "I came to say goodbye to you," Uni said. Sima Yue was stunned by the sudden news. "You're going back up?" "Yes." Uni nodded her head and said, "I've left Divine Devil Valley for quite some time. If I don't go back, my master will probably catch me and make me face the wall." Sima Yue knew that his master was an elder in the valley and had a lot of power. Moreover, he had a weird temper. "Then when will you leave?" she asked. "I'll leave after saying goodbye to you." Uni looked at Sima Yue. She couldn't bear to part with her. Following the junior valley master wasn't bad, but she couldn't disobey her master's orders. "Be careful," Sima Yue said. "I will." Uni nodded. "All right, wait." Sima Yue took out a jade pendant and said, "Do you recognize this jade pendant?" Uni took the jade pendant and said, "The shape of this jade pendant is somewhat familiar, but I'm not sure if I've seen it before." "What is this?" "This is the jade pendant my master gave me before he left. He said that I should use this to find him in the future." Sima Yue thought of Feng Jixing. She missed him and was worried. "What's your master's name? Which family is he from?" Uni looked at the jade pendant carefully. The more she looked at it, the more familiar she felt it was. "My master is Feng Jixing, the Feng clan." Uni thought for a while and said uncertainly, "I don't know where the Feng clan is, but I remember that there are many places where we have industries with this shape." It was said that the background of those industries was very powerful, and ordinary forces did not dare to cause trouble. That's why I'm guessing they're from the inner regions. Inner circle. Sima Yue lowered her head. If Feng Jixing was from the inner circle, then her father, who grew up with him, should also be from the inner circle. "Father, mother, if there is a need, I will inform the Valley Lord when I go up and ask the disciples in the valley to investigate." Uni said when she saw that Sima Yue was not in a good mood. Sima Yue nodded. "Okay." Before, Old Man Devil left in a hurry, so she didn't think to ask about Feng Jixing. He was experienced and knowledgeable, so he definitely knew more than Uni. "Then I'm leaving." Uni said, "Go up early. Don't forget that I'm already yours." Sima Yue was speechless. She raised her leg and kicked him. Uni jumped to the side and dodged her attack. She took out a compass-like object, opened a passage and walked out laughing. "Uni, just you wait. I'll teach you a lesson when I get there." Sima Yue shouted at the closed tunnel. Everyone in the courtyard stared dumbfoundedly at Sima Yue, who was jumping in rage. What did they say just now? He was her man. The two of them were talking about something like that. Could it be that they had a secret relationship? Sima Yue came back to her senses and saw everyone's strange looks. She left with a dark face and gritted her teeth as she walked away. After she left, everyone's strange looks suddenly turned into fear because someone said, "Didn't they say that the fifth young master liked men?" It was only then that everyone came to a realization. At that time, the news of Sima Yue liking beautiful men had spread like wildfire throughout the entire Dongqing kingdom. At that time, she was known as Trash Man Crazy and had a bad reputation for liking men. Over the years, she had suddenly become a genius and stopped doing those things, so everyone gradually forgot about it. Now that it was suddenly brought up, even people not from Dongqing country knew about it. Everyone suddenly felt that they were in danger. Would they do something to the fifth young master? Everyone decided to stay away from the fifth young master in the future. They didn't want him to take a fancy to them. Look at that young master Yunyi. Wasn't he just too good looking? If Sima Yue knew what they were thinking, she would be so angry that she would vomit blood. She would want to find Yunyi and have a good talk about life. In the days that followed, Sima Yue did her own things as usual. Although there were very few people in the courtyard, Wei Ziqi and the others realized that those people would not come here if they could. If not, they would be trembling with fear when they came here. This caused everyone to be extremely puzzled. What was wrong with these people? Especially the way they looked at them. Why were they all so strange? Later on, when they went to investigate, those people avoided their eyes but didn't say anything. Later on, Sima Yuyang told them the reason. When they heard what those people thought, Wei Ziqi and the others couldn't help but twitch their lips. It was no wonder those people looked at them strangely. They thought that since Sima Yue liked men, and they were not bad-looking, and were with them every day, they thought that Sima Yue had an affair with them. Fatty Chu howled to the sky. We want to have an affair with her. It's a pity that our friendship is pure. Sigh. Friendship was a phrase that Sima Yue had said. It's not good to let them misunderstand you. Bei Gongtang said. After all, we're a family. Then what should we do? Tell them that Yu is a girl? Fatty Chu's eyes were filled with red hearts. He agreed with this idea. They had never seen Sima Yue dressed as a girl before. She was so good-looking that she would definitely be so stunning in female clothes that they would drool. Sima Yue didn't take this to heart at first. However, she realized that everyone was more and more afraid of her. It even affected everyone's mood to cultivate. Even Sima Tai and the other old guys looked at her with a sense of scrutiny. Sima Yue was speechless. Finally, one day at a family gathering, she appeared in front of everyone dressed as a girl. This was the first time she had dressed as a girl after coming to this world. When she looked in the mirror after Bei Gongtang put it on, even she was stunned. Bei Gongtang looked at Sima Yue with eyes full of amazement. She had always known that Sima Yue was very beautiful. However, her skin was like cream, her teeth were like gourds. Her smile was beautiful and her eyes were beautiful. So beautiful, she sighed from the bottom of her heart. Sima Yue stood up. She was dressed in a red pomegranate dress. She only used a jade hairpin to tie up her hair, leaving the rest hanging behind her. A red agate tortoiseshell was casually inserted above her left ear. Matched with her fair skin, she looked extremely beautiful. When she opened the door and walked out, everyone who was waiting outside was stunned when they saw her. The entire courtyard was silent. Even the sound of Fatty Chu swallowing his saliva could be heard. Sima Yue was not surprised by this outcome. She smiled at them and said, "Let's go. We've already been delayed for so long. If we don't go now, it'll be too late." Her voice pulled everyone back from their thoughts. Before they could say anything, Sima Yulin's voice was heard. "Why are you still?" Seeing the fiery red figure standing at the door, he was stunned as well. He forgot what he was going to say. Chapter 413. Sima Yulin stood at the entrance of the courtyard, staring at her blankly. He had fantasized about what he would look like in women's clothing, but no matter how beautiful and stunning he imagined it would be, it was not as shocking as seeing it with his own eyes. Sima Yu saw that Sima Yulin was stunned and coughed twice, asking, "What are you doing here?" At that, Sima Yulin's eyes flashed with annoyance. How could he be stunned? Haha, brother Yulin is also stunned. Fatty Chu laughed. The others laughed as well. When they laughed, Sima Yulin relaxed instead, saying, "Everyone likes to see beautiful things." Sima Yue walked down from the door and said, "Are you here to call us?" "Oh, that. I'm heading over with Yu Yang and the others. I passed by here and thought I'd call you." Sima Yulin explained. "Yulin, why are you so slow?" Sima Yu Yang came in as well. When he saw Sima Yu, he was similarly stunned. Sima Yulan and Sima Yuqing, who had followed behind, were equally stunned. Sima Yuqing even cried out in surprise. "You're Yu? Why? Can't you recognize me after I changed my outfit?" Sima Yue said with a smile. "How could it be you?" Sima Yu Yang cried out. "Who would have thought that Yu would be so beautiful in female disguise? Haha. What are those two in front of you using to prop them up? Spirit fruit? It looks quite real." As he spoke, he reached out to touch the two spirit fruits. Sima Yue was speechless. Before his hand could touch the spiritual fruit, she lifted her leg and kicked him away. Fatty Chu and the rest were laughing uncontrollably at the side. Sima Yu Yang crawled up from the ground and looked at her in shock. Yu, why did you kick me? Isn't it just two spirit fruits? Why can't I touch them?" As he spoke, he moved closer and prepared to attack again. The more she refused to let him touch her, the more he wanted to touch her. Sima Yu saw that he was still coming, and was about to kick him out of the house when Sima Yulin's body flashed in front of her. He looked at Sima Yu Yang and said, "Don't mess around." "How am I messing around?" I just want to see the things in front of him. Sima Yu Yang's body flashed and went around Sima Yu Lin, continuing to attack Sima Yu Yu. Yu Yu is a girl. Sima Yu Lin turned around and said, "Ga." Sima Yu Yang's hand stopped when it was less than 30 centimeters away from Sima Yu Yu. He raised his head in a daze and saw Sima Yu smiling meaningfully at him. Before he could react, he was already sent flying. Ha ha ha. Fatty Chu and the others were already laughing so hard that they couldn't breathe. This Sima Yu Yang was simply asking for a beating. Let's see how Yue will deal with him in the future. Sima Yue let go of the hem of her dress and frowned. Wearing a dress is so troublesome. So boorish. Bei Gong Tang said with a smile at the door. Sima Yulan and Sima Yuqing ran over and sized up Sima Yue, saying, "Yue, why are you a girl? Aren't you a guy? How did you change into one? What happened to your this?" That's right. You usually hide it too well. I really couldn't tell at all." Sima Yue subconsciously wanted to stretch out a hand to touch Sima Yu's front, but when she thought of Sima Yu Yang who had been sent flying, she restrained herself at the last moment. "Yue, quickly tell us how you did this. When we get back, we can learn from you and pretend to be a guy," Sima Yuqing said. Sima Yue waved the ring on her hand in front of them, saying, Isn't this an interspatial ring? Can this even change one's gender?" Sima Yuqing grabbed her hand and looked at the illusion ring carefully as she asked. "This is an interspatial ring." Sima Yu adjusted the gear on the illusion ring. Her clothes didn't change, but her entire person looked like a man. "Wow, so magical!" Sima Yulan cried out. "Where did you get this? Let's get a few as well." "This was given to me by my senior brother. The first one was given to me by my father," Sima Yue said. "No wonder, we've never heard of this before," Sima Yuqing said with disappointment. "I had no choice but to dress as a guy. It's not fun," Sima Yue said. "You had no choice. Can't you not dress as a guy?" Sima Yulan said regretfully. "You're so pretty, but you have to dress as a guy. What a pity. My father said that it was related to my life, so I had no choice," Sima Yue said. Sima Yuqing and Sima Yulan covered their mouths in shock. It was related to her life. Could it be that she would be killed if she didn't dress as a guy? But since her father said so, it should be true. Then why are you dressed as a girl now? What will you do when you return if something happens? Sima Yulin frowned. Sima Yoyue's face fell, saying, "Didn't you see that the guys in the clan have been looking at me with prejudice recently? It's as if I'm a pervert." "Ha ha ha. Who asked you to be with Uni that day? Uni said something about me being yours. It would be strange if they didn't suspect me. And it just so happened that the people in Dongchen Kingdom remembered how you used to chase after pretty guys. Of course they're afraid of you." Sima Yuyang ran in from outside. When he heard what Sima Yue said, he couldn't help but stand there and laugh. Sima Yue threw a cold knife at him, and Sima Yuyang immediately felt as if his soul had left his body. It turned out that a beauty was so pleasing to the eye even when she was angry. "Alright, let's go over first. Everyone should be waiting for us," Sima Yulin said. Sima Yue nodded and walked with everyone to an open space. This open space was inside their big house. It used to be the place where the Zhang clansmen trained their people. Now it was everyone's training ground and arena. Today was the first time that the Yiling clan held a competition for the younger generation of the clan. They wanted to test the strength of the younger generation. At the same time, they wanted to choose those who had potential to be nurtured, because it was the first time it was held. Apart from those who were outside handling business, everyone else was present. When Sima Yue and the others arrived, the place was already filled with people. It looked like everyone else had arrived except for the few of them. In these few months, the clan had 3 spirit paragons break through to the divine rank. This allowed the Yiling clan to gain a foothold, and they were no longer a small power without a divine rank. Sima Tai and a group of elders sat on the stage. Because Sima Yue didn't come, they didn't start. "Clan leader, Yu and Elin haven't come yet. Why don't we send someone to hurry them up?" The previous clan leader, who was now the great elder, said. That's good too. We can't let everyone wait for them. Sima Tai nodded. Ziyan, go take a look at them. The previous clan leader, who was now the second elder, ordered Hua Ziyan, who was beside him. Yes. Hua Ziyan stood up and prepared to leave, but he saw a commotion at the entrance of the place. Chapter 414. The commotion at the entrance naturally attracted the attention of others. Sima Tai and a group of elders heard the sounds of shock and suspicion growing louder and louder. They saw that those people had stood up, and many people were blocking the entrance. The entire entrance was in chaos. What's going on over there? Sima Tai furrowed his eyebrows and asked. They were too unruly. How could they block the entrance and cause a ruckus? What was going on over there? It seems like someone came in, Hua Ziyan said after watching for a while. What's the commotion about someone coming in? The Li family head, now the third elder, said with a dark expression. It seems like Brother Yulin and the others are here. Hua Ziyan said when he saw Sima Yulin squeezing out of the crowd. I heard you use voice. It seems like they were surrounded when they came in. Sima Lin said. Aren't those people afraid of you? Why are they surrounding them now that they've come in? Aren't they afraid that she'll take a liking to them? Elder Hua said with a smile. At the same time, he gestured for Hua Ziyan to sit down. Since they were already here, there was no need for him to rush them. That's... Elder Sang saw that the crowd at the entrance had automatically moved to the sides and opened up a path for Sima Yulin and the others to walk in. Their eyes naturally fell on a red figure in the middle. That appearance, that aura. Who else could it be but Sima Yu? But that was really a lady in a red dress. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? The others saw a beautiful lady walk in and cried out excitedly. Why does that person look so much like Yu? That's Yu, right? How is that possible? Yu is a guy, but that's a beauty. Don't tell me you can't even differentiate between a guy and a girl? Exactly. How could it be the same person? But they really look alike. Have you heard that she has a twin brother and sister? No. F*CK. Are they really the same person? It doesn't matter if they're the same person. The most important thing is that such a beautiful lady. Can we chase after her? If she really is Yu, do you have the right to fight for her? And no. That's it. But it's good to look. When Sima Yue heard their words and saw how excited they were, she had the urge to go back and change back into her male outfit. She and Sima Yue came before Sima Tai and the rest and bowed. Are you really Yue? Hua Zijiao blurted out when she saw Sima Yue. Family head. Sima Yue did not answer her, but called out to Sima Tai. Sima Tai was shocked as well. He never thought that the little fox in front of him was actually a girl. He looked at Sima Lai, Sima Yuming and the others and was not surprised. It seemed like they knew. However, the people from the Dongchen kingdom were also very surprised. In other words, other than the members of the Sima family, no one else knew that Sima Yue was a girl. I didn't expect you to be a woman. He sighed. Look at the commotion you've caused. Everyone in the venue is going crazy. Sima Yue looked helplessly at Sima Tai. I didn't want to either. But if I don't clarify things, everyone will think that I'm a poisonous snake. She's actually a girl. Sang Qiongli looked at Sima Yue and could not hide the shock in his eyes. The man next to Sang Qiongli had an infatuated look on his face as he said, She's beautiful, her cultivation is high, she knows alchemy, she can tame beasts, she knows how to set up arrays, and she's a great cook. She's simply my goddess. Many people nodded. That's right, that's right. She was perfect. Sima Tai looked at the lively venue and said, You caused it. You deal with it. Okay. Sima Yue nodded and turned around to fly to the stage. She raised her hand, and the whole place quieted down. This was not only because of her beauty, but also because of her prestige in the family. Although everyone was afraid of her, they understood that without her, they would still be in the Yilin continent. Without her, they would not be able to live in such a good environment. Yue, are you really a girl? Someone dared to ask the question in everyone's heart. Sima Yue smiled, saying, I'm the real deal. Aha! You're really a girl. Heavens, it's really her. My male god is gone. A girl's heart was broken. Sima Yue raised her hand again to silence everyone. She waited for the venue to quiet down before continuing. As everyone can see, I'm a real girl. Because I had no choice, I had to disguise myself as a man. Today, I'm letting everyone know that I'm a girl because recently, there have been many rumors that I might do that. Today, I'm here to clarify that I have no intention of doing anything to you. Everyone can cultivate in peace. Don't worry about me doing anything to you. She was very reserved, but everyone knew what she meant. The girls all laughed, while the guys all looked disappointed. They were all hoping that she would do something to them. All of them wanted to stick to her. I hope that everyone can stay in this venue and keep the fact that I'm a girl. If anyone were to spread this outside, don't blame me for not warning you beforehand. Sima Yue looked down at the world with disdain, shocking everyone in the venue. Although they didn't know what kind of trouble it would bring her, everyone promised that they wouldn't tell anyone about her identity. What a joke. She was their lucky star. Without her, the Yiling clan would fall. Alright, let's start today's official business. Where's the MC? Sima Yue looked below the stage and asked. A middle-aged man walked up and cupped his hands towards Sima Yue. Fifth young master, I'm today's MC. Oh, you can start then. Sima Yue nodded towards him and walked down the stage. Cough cough, I'll be the MC for today's matters. The MC cleared his throat and began to speak. Sima Yue walked over to Sima Lai and sat down beside them. Seeing her sister in a long dress, her brothers were also stunned. Who would have thought that our fifth brother would turn into a fifth sister so beautiful? Sima Yue said with a smile. Fifth brother is actually laughing at me. Sima Yue glared at Sima Yue. Sima Lai looked at Sima Yue worriedly, saying, Yue, at that time, your father said not to let anyone know that you're a girl. Now that you're acting like this, won't it attract trouble? Grandfather, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Sima Yue said. As long as I don't go up there, with the Snow Wolf clan and the Saber-Toothed Tiger clan around, nobody will be able to do anything to me. Once I go up, not many people will know that I'm a girl. It's good that you know, Sima Lai said. Sima Yue touched the interspatial ring on her hand. Father said that this was something that belonged to the clan and had been given to her along with the illusion ring. Father, why did you have to make me dress up as a boy? Chapter 415. Sima Yue didn't go down, even though the purpose of this competition was to test the strength of the youngsters. No one objected to this because her strength was obvious to all. Sima Yue frowned as she sat on the spectator stand and watched the youngsters display their strength. It wasn't enough. Such strength would hinder the development of the family in the future. At the very least, a few geniuses had to come out. She thought about it and decided that the best way was to refine the 100 Revolutions pill. Fortunately, she had long thought that the golden snake fruit would be very useful, so she had always insisted on watering it with soul fluid all these years. This also allowed Little Spirit to speed up the time there, and in these few years, it had already ripened 3 times. Other than the first time he had used one when he found Sima Lai and the others, there were still 20 golden snake fruits in his spirit pagoda. There were still 7 unripe ones hanging on the tree. With her current level of alchemy, if she were to refine 100 Revolutions pills again, she would definitely be able to refine more pills than before. The conference was held for 3 days. She had originally planned to attend for only 1 day, but she had watched the entire process for all 3 days. She had selected some talented people. There were a total of 20 golden snake fruits. She wanted to leave 2 behind just in case. If one person refined 10, there would only be 180 at most. Including the remaining 6 from before, she could only give 93 people at most. Therefore, these 93 people had to be the best among these people. In the future, they would have to shoulder the heavy responsibility of the family. Not long after the 3 days conference ended, she went to look for Sima Tai. Ever since the clan was on the right track, they had focused all their energy on cultivation. In order not to delay the clan's affairs, The patriarch and elders were always together. When there was something to discuss, they would discuss it. When there was nothing to do, everyone would cultivate on their own. If anyone felt that they had reached a critical moment, they could leave alone to avoid being disturbed. However, after listening to Sima Yu's suggestion, they decided to distribute the tasks so that they could have more time to cultivate. When Sima Yu arrived, everyone was there. Seeing that she had arrived, everyone stopped cultivating and looked at her from their seats. What's the matter? Sima Tai understood her temperament. She would never look for them if there was nothing. Sima Yu found a place to sit down and said, "Let me ask you who you have chosen. Why do you care about these things?" Sima Tai was curious. This girl didn't care about these things in the past. This lass was dressed as a man again. Other than that day when she wore women's clothes and stunned everyone, she had changed back to men's clothes. Sima Yu automatically ignored his scrutinizing gaze and said, "It's because those people from 2 days ago were too weak, so I thought of a way to improve their strength." "What idea do you have?" Sima Tai's eyes lit up. Although she didn't care about the family matters, every time she had an idea, it would definitely be very useful. "Do you know about the 100 Revolutions pill?" Sima Yu asked. "How could I not know?" At that time, the Xian Yuan Pavilion of the West Moon Kingdom sold the 100 Revolutions pill for a sky-high price, and the entire Yilin continent knew about it. The Li family elder said. At that time, they even sent people to investigate, but unfortunately, they didn't find anything. "Could it be that your method is to find the 100 Revolutions pill?" Patriarch Hua asked. It's said that the people of the Xian Yuan Pavilion kept this matter a secret, so it's not easy to find the 100 Revolutions pill. The Sang family had added. Only Sima Tai stared at her and said excitedly, "That person was you, right?" The moment he said that, the other 3 patriarchs were stunned. "That's right." Sima Yu nodded in agreement. The 4 of them were shocked, but they quickly calmed down. This girl even had the divinity pill, so it wasn't strange for her to have the 100 Revolutions pill. But when they thought about it, she had just left the Dongchen country, and she already had the 100 Revolutions pill. "You little brat. Why didn't you say that you had the 100 Revolutions pill earlier?" Sima Tai glared at her fiercely. Of course, this didn't have any killing power. What's the point of saying it back then? I didn't even have the ingredients, so even if I said it, it would only be a dream. Sima Yu glared back. "You have the ingredients now?" Sima Tai's eyes lit up. "Yes, I've accumulated some over the past few years." Sima Yu said. "How many can you refine?" "I finished refining 2 days ago. Now I have 186 pills, 2 pills per person, for 93 people." Sima Yu said. "You've already finished refining?" Everyone sucked in a breath. With so many 100 Revolutions pills, they could improve the physiques of 93 people and nurture 93 people. One genius could change the future of a clan, much less 93. "Yes," Sima Yu replied. "I took a look the other day, and there are 4 or 5 children whose talents are not bad. They are still young, so the 100 Revolutions pill will have a great effect on them. They will definitely have great achievements in the future. There are also a few spirit paragons who are still young, and if they take it, they should be able to reach the divine rank earlier, adding up to about 15 people. The rest will be given to the youngsters. That's why I'm here to ask you, have the people you want to nurture been chosen?" "They have been chosen, and there are a total of more than 100 of them." Sima Tai said. 110, which was slightly more than she had expected. "There are quite a lot of people, so we can only give 70 people this time," Sima Yu said. "Then we'll arrange it according to our previous ranking," Elder Hua said. "That's fine too." Elder Sang and Elder Li agreed. "Since you have a ranking, then there's no problem." Sima Yu took out a dozen jade bottles and said, "They're all here. You can arrange them yourselves. The people I've chosen are..." She listed out the 15 people she had chosen, and Sima Tai noted them down one by one. The other 3 elders were also satisfied, because Sima Yu listed out people from every clan, and there was no discrimination. It was all based on talent. "Yue, Can you tell me about the 100 Revolutions pills recipe? Elderly asked. He had been thinking about the recipe for a long time. I can tell you, but it's useless even if you have it, because you don't have the most important ingredient, the golden snake fruit. Sima Yue said. This was also the reason why she had sold the recipe to Xian Yuan Pavilion. If she gave it to you, you would only have a piece of scrap paper. It's still better than nothing, Elderly said. All right then. I'll write it down for you. Sima Yue said as she took out a brush and ink and wrote down the recipe. When she was writing down the recipe, she suddenly remembered that the Li clan was a family of alchemists and was now a part of the Yilin clan. It could be said that they had the most alchemists in the clan. If they were properly nurtured, the clan would definitely develop better in the future. Hence, she decided to take out all the recipes she had and guide those alchemists when she had the time. In the future, a group of alchemists would be able to refine high-grade pills, and their clan's development would be limitless. Thinking of this, she happily squinted her eyes. Chapter 416. Sima Tai saw Sima Yue's expression and knew that she had her own thoughts. However, he did not ask further. If this method worked, she would say it herself. If it wasn't feasible, she wouldn't say anything even if he asked. She seemed to be a little cold and indifferent towards the matters of the family, but as long as she had her approval, she would do her best to help the family. Therefore, when she first came to the Sima family, although she didn't care about the family's affairs, she didn't think about the family's future. Even if she had the 100 Revolutions pill, she didn't mention it to the family. Now that she had experienced so much with everyone and recognized this family, she would think about how to improve the talent of the young people, because the young people were the future of the family. Sima Yue wrote down the 100 Revolution pills recipe and handed it over to Elderly. She asked, "How many alchemists does our family have?" Elderly didn't know why Sima Yue was asking this, but he still suppressed his excitement and said, "My Li clan has sent 300 people. Among them, there are 178 alchemists. Adding those from other clans, we have a total of 235 people. Over 200 alchemists. Even the Yin and Gua families didn't have that many alchemists." "What about its grade?" Sima Yue asked. 3 rank 6, 10 rank 5, 30 rank 4, 70 rank 3, and the rest are rank 1 and rank 2, Elderly replied. Sima Yue rubbed his chin. It seemed like this family was really powerful. They had quite a number of alchemists and beast tamers. What they were lacking in was their overall cultivation. However, she wasn't too worried. Their starting point was low, and they were being suppressed. As time passed, this problem wouldn't be a problem. I have some pill recipes with me. I'll organize them and give you all a copy. I'll also give you some of my experience in alchemy and what my master told me. I'll organize them all and write them into a book for everyone to study in the future. Sima Yue said. Really, the elders were all excited. As long as everyone is united in the future, we will naturally share the benefits. Sima Yue said. We all came from the same place, so our feelings are naturally different. Elder Hu said. They had thought of leaving the Sima family before, but after comparison, they felt that it was better to follow them. Moreover, the Sima family didn't treat them as accessories and treated everyone the same. That would be for the best. Sima Yue said. Otherwise, I'll naturally have a way to take back what I've given out. If everyone can support each other in the future, I'll also have other good things to give you all. The 3 elders smiled bitterly in their hearts. This girl really gave them a stick as a reward, not a single one less. We all understand. Elder Sang said. Sima Yue asked. Yue asked Yue. Yue Wei Yue. Yue and Yue. 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 Elder Yue Yuan. Usually, the reason why beast tamers want to level up is because their spiritual strength can't keep up. If we can increase their spiritual strength, their taming level will naturally increase. Sima Yue said. I'll go back and sort out the methods to increase spiritual strength. And this method can be used by both weapon refiners and alchemists. Increasing their mental strength can also increase their grade. Alright, I still have some books on smithing. They're all from the ancient era. Fatty said that they're not bad. I'll organize them later and bring them over. Also, I have a method of taming beasts. If everyone follows that method when taming beasts, the tamed beasts will advance in rank after contracting with them. We'll do this together later. And this time it wasn't just the three elders, even Sima Tai couldn't remain calm. The four of them looked at the conditions that she said, and their brains forgot to think. How many treasures did this guy have? No wonder he had such a monstrous talent. He had so many good things. The Sima family actually had so many treasures, much more than the other families. The three of them looked at Sima Tai sourly, but when they saw that his expression was the same as theirs, they felt better. So these things didn't belong to the Sima family, although their hearts felt better, but they were even more suspicious. Her things weren't given by the Sima family, so where did she get them from? Was it her father? Or was it the Divine Devil Valley? I can't do anything about that array. I'm lacking in resources myself. Sima Yue thought that this was all she could do, so she looked at them and said. In the end, she was shocked by their fiery gazes and said, "What's wrong with you guys?" Cough cough, nothing. Sima Tai coughed twice and said, "We'll distribute the 100 revolutions pills according to what you said. And you can go back and tidy up your things." Sima Yue nodded. She knew that what she said would shock them, but she had no choice. With her current strength, she would be able to go up in a few years. The Snow Wolf clan and the Saber-Toothed Tiger clan would follow her up. If she took them away, the Sima family would not be able to develop. Even with the Gua and Yun clans' protection, it would not be a good idea in the long run. Thus, she could only try her best to develop her clan while she was here. Luckily, they were the first-ranked powers of the Yilin continent. Their starting point was not bad. It would not be hard to develop as long as there was a way. So if they were shocked, then so be it. After all, these old fellows were not made of paper. They should be able to digest it quickly. Thinking of this, she left, leaving the four of them to slowly digest it. The four of them each picked up a jade bottle. Inside there were more than 1,000 revolutions pills. Elderly looked at the golden pill, and was so excited that tears almost fell from his eyes. This is it, this is it. It really is the 100 revolutions pill. It's just like the legends say. Since Yue has already arranged everything, then we'll follow her instructions, and let the children take the pills to cleanse their muscles and marrow. The Sang clan head was more calm, but he was also very excited. The earlier they take it, the better, the Hua clan head said. Then let's let the children Yue chose come first. Sima Tai said. Okay. Sima Yue returned to her courtyard. Not long after she walked out of the main courtyard, she saw a certain someone waiting for her at the entrance with a dark expression. Senior brother, why are you here? She automatically ignored his stinky face. Wu Lingyu only looked at her without saying anything. His expression was angry and aggrieved. Aggrieved? How could he be aggrieved? Sima Yue looked carefully. She did not see wrongly. It was indeed aggrieved. But what was this guy aggrieved about? Senior, does master not want you anymore? She guessed. Wu Lingyu's expression turned even darker when he heard this. This girl knew that he was angry, but she still dared to say this. Chapter 417. Wu Lingyu remained silent and just looked at her. Sima Yue could not be bothered with him. She wanted to go around him and tidy up the books and documents in the courtyard. However, when she walked past him, he grabbed her arm. Before she could say anything, he grabbed her waist and lifted her into the air. Wu Lingyu, what are you doing? She didn't expect him to take her away from her family in public. The people in the family heard her roar and looked up to see her being taken away by a man. Oh no, Yue has been kidnapped. Let's go save her. Where is he? Those people only called out twice, but when they were in the air, they could no longer see them. That's right. I just flew out. How did it disappear? Which direction did they fly to? Bei Gong Tang came out of the room and saw that the sky was filled with people. She said, "It's fine. You can all come back. Yue. She'll be fine. She promised to come back on her own. With that, she returned to her room. Those people looked at each other. They didn't even know where she had gone. How could they chase after her? He could only listen to her and come down. However, they were still worried. Yue seemed to have been taken away by a man. Would she be alright? Sima Yue was grabbed by Wu Lingyu and flew out of Mo City in the blink of an eye. It seemed like his strength had increased a lot recently. Hey, where are you going to take me? She helplessly roared when she saw him pulling a long face and flying aimlessly. Wu Lingyu lowered her head and glanced at her. She remained silent and continued to fly forward. Sima Yue glared at him fiercely. With a thought, she disappeared from his arms and appeared 3 meters away. Wu Lingyu did not expect Sima Yue to do this and said, "You know how to teleport?" Sima Yue did not answer him. She turned her head to the side and refused to look at him. Teleportation wasn't something that just anyone could do. One had to have a high understanding of space and accurately find the connection between 2 points in space in order to be able to teleport. Teleportation relied on one's will. But for Old Man Devil and the others to open a spatial tunnel, it was a display of their strength. Wu Lingyu didn't think that Sima Yue's understanding of space had already reached the point where she could teleport. Although she could only teleport a few meters now, the most difficult part was getting started. Since she had already gotten started, her improvement would definitely be fast. Seeing that she had turned her face away from him, the anger in his heart rose. He wanted to vent his anger on her, but he suddenly fell from the sky. At first, Sima Yue thought he was faking it. However, when she saw him falling like a puppet with its strings cut, she frowned and quickly chased after him. She caught him before he landed on the ground. Then, she held his hand with one hand and his waist with the other. She brought him down slowly. She felt that he had really fainted, and his breathing was very unstable, so she checked on him. Oh no! She placed his body on the grass and fed him a pill. Then, she sat beside him and waited for him to wake up. "You're still not coming out," she suddenly spoke, but there was no one around her. "I'm talking about you. You're the guy in Wu Lingyu's body." She saw him appear and said. A ray of light flashed and Fire Qilin appeared in front of Sima Yue. "You can come out by yourself." Sima Yue looked at Fire Qilin and said, "If I didn't save him just now, you wouldn't have let him fall to his death, right?" Fire Qilin looked at Sima Yue. It really didn't understand why this guy was so angry because of her. In the end, his soul couldn't take the emotional fluctuations, and this happened again. However, this was different from when he was in a coma. He could freely enter and exit his body now, unlike when he was in the Puluo Mountains. "What's wrong with your master?" Sima Yue asked. "Is he injured up there?" Fire Qilin didn't understand why Sima Yue asked this, but he still answered honestly, "No." "Why?" "No." Sima Yue frowned. Was it because he had been separated from Mo Sha for too long? "Why do you ask this?" Fire Qilin didn't understand. His coma this time was caused by his soul being unstable. If he wasn't injured, why would he be in a coma? Sima Yue said. Fire Qilin looked at this slow person and felt that it was unfair for his master. His master was thinking so much up there, but she didn't know at all. "You want to know why his soul is so stable?" Fire Qilin looked at her faintly. Sima Yue felt a little creeped out by Fire Qilin's gaze. She subconsciously wanted him to stop talking, as if saying it would change things. However, Fire Qilin decided to fight for his master and said, "Because his soul is already weak. It's not because he's injured, but because he hasn't eaten soul fluid for a long time." "Didn't my master bring him soul fluid?" Sima Yue didn't understand. "But he doesn't know. It's because he's trapped." "For you," Fire Qilin said. "For me?" Sima Yue was even more confused. How could this guy be trapped because of her? "Yes, because of you," Fire Qilin said angrily. "It's because those people in the valley said that you lacked array books. So he thought of ways to find array books for you everywhere. Last time, he heard that there was a lost array book in a cemetery, so he went to get it for you. In the end, he was trapped in the array for more than a year, and only came out a few days ago. His soul fluid has already been consumed. because he only got the news a few days before he came to find you. Sima Yuyue's expression changed and she cried out. He hasn't eaten soul fluid for more than a year. That's right. Fire Qilin saw her expression and felt a little better. He continued. After he came out of the array, he immediately rushed over. But when he heard that you've changed into female clothing, he was a little angry. After that, his soul couldn't take it anymore and he fainted. Since he knew that it was the array master's goal, there would definitely be an array to protect it. Why did he still go? Sima Yue said angrily. And he hasn't eaten soul fluid for so long. Doesn't he know that he should return to the Divine Devil Valley first? He's really taking his life as a joke. Because he likes you. And he's been thinking about you ever since he came back from Puluo mountain range. Fire Qilin said. Although I'm his contracted beast, I don't understand why he likes a girl like you. Although your innate talent is not bad, it's much worse than those women above. Alright, I've said what I need to say. Since he became like this because of you, you should take good care of him. After he finished speaking, he flashed back into the contracted space. Sima Yuyu's anger disappeared the moment she heard him say that he liked her. After Fire Qilin left, she looked at the unconscious person beside her with a complicated expression. Chapter 418. He liked her? Or did it start a few years ago? Why did she feel that the Fire Qilin's words couldn't be trusted? Come to think of it, the two of them had only met a few times, right? How could this guy like her? Furthermore, at that time, she should have been even more insignificant than dust to him. She shouldn't have been able to enter his heart at all. For more interesting articles, please visit. However, she also felt that the Fire Qilin wouldn't joke about this matter. Moreover, his soul was indeed very weak. Otherwise, he wouldn't have become like this just because of a little anger. She thought that he was injured on the surface, but she didn't expect that it was because he was trapped and didn't take the soul fluid in time. Sigh. She let out a long sigh. She had lived for so long, and it seemed that this was the first time someone had said that they liked her. Moreover, it was from a contract beast. Based on his personality, if he didn't find out, he probably wouldn't say anything. However, he had never been sensitive to this. He had lived for so long, but he had never been in a relationship. Really, if Master finds out that you did such a thing for your own life, will he skin you alive? She reached out to poke Wu Lingyu's face. His devilish face was deathly pale. Sigh. Thinking of the Fire Qilin's words, she sighed again. She had never dealt with something like this before. How was she going to face him when he woke up? In his previous life, all the love he had was either rejected, or they ended up together. How should he choose? Reject him? But he didn't confess to her personally. Accept his kindness? It seemed that he was unwilling. This thing is really a complicated thing. She rubbed her head and glared fiercely at Wu Lingyu. Seeing that his face was even more conflicted, she simply stopped looking. Why don't we just pretend that we don't know? Anyway, since this guy didn't say anything, I'll just pretend I don't know. She finally made this decision, and muttered to herself, as she looked at the distant sunset. I like you. Just as she finished speaking, Wu Lingyu's voice suddenly came from behind her. Ah! She jumped up in fright, and stood a meter away, looking at the guy who had suddenly woken up. You, when did you wake up? She stuttered for the first time. Ever since you were mumbling about pretending to be a fool. Although Wu Lingyu had woken up, her voice was still very soft, which meant that she was still very weak. Why didn't you tell me that you were awake? Sima Yue glared at him. How would I know what you think if I told you? Wu Lingyu said. If I tell you now, I like you, what about you? Me? I what? Sima Yue was stunned. When Wu Lingyu saw Sima Yue's reaction, he could not help but break out in a cold sweat. This girl is really... If one were to say that her EQ was low, her EQ was quite high when it came to family and friendship. But when it came to love, she had a feeling that she was not enlightened. But seeing her like this, the anger in his heart that she was wearing female clothing instantly disappeared. She was so slow when it came to love. How could she fall in love with someone else? You what? This prince has already said that he likes you. Why don't you express it? He sat up from the ground. Express? Sima Yue blinked and understood what he meant. She thought for a while and rejected him directly. I don't like you. The faint hope in Wu Lingyu's eyes was extinguished. This girl really did not like him. You have someone you like? Sima Yue shook her head. Since you don't have anyone you like, then like this prince. Wu Lingyu looked at her, his eyes full of sincerity. Ah! Sima Yue looked at him. She liked him, because she did not have anyone she liked? What kind of logic was this? What do you think? He was very satisfied with his suggestion. Sima Yue glanced at him and said indifferently, You wish. My heart belongs to me. I will not like you just because I don't have anyone I like. How is your body now? You are a doctor. Why don't you come and take a look at me? As he spoke, he seemed to be exhausted and fell down again. It was fine if this girl did not accept him now. Anyway, she was not enlightened yet. He had plenty of time to open her heart. Sima Yue hesitated for a moment. Seeing his pale face, she walked over, squatted down, and grabbed his hand to examine him. You are really too much. You clearly did not have any soul fluid on you, but you still dared to do such a dangerous thing. Do you really want to die? After examining his body, she thought of Fire Qilan's words and became angry. She opened her mouth to scold him. Wu Lingyu was not angry. Instead, the corner of his mouth curled up into a faint smile. If she was angry, it meant that he was still important in her heart. If it was someone she did not care about, even if he died, she would not bat an eyelid. Who am I? Since I dared to go, I naturally knew that I would be fine, he said with a smile. Sima Yu's face darkened when she saw the smile on his face. She directly pushed him backwards, and he fell onto the grass again without any warning. Are you trying to push me? Although my body is not good now, if you want I can do it. He lay on the ground, looking like he was at her mercy. Hooligan. A super big hoodlum with a holy appearance. I really don't know how someone like you could be chosen by the Sage Pavilion's pavilion master to become the Holy Sun. Sima Yue really wanted to step on him. He is only interested in my body. As long as I put up a front in front of others, he will not care about what I do at other times. Wu Lingyu said lightly. Sima Yu was keenly aware of the sarcasm in his words, as well as the part about wanting his body. She furrowed her eyebrows, saying, What do you mean? What I mean? Wu Lingyu placed his hands behind his head and looked at the sky that was dyed red by the setting sun. No one knew what he was thinking, what he meant. Sima Yue frowned even more. Looking at Wu Lingyu, she felt that she could not understand him. She saw that he was really lying down and did not move. She also sat down and watched the setting sun slowly set. After coming to this world for so many years, she had never seen the sunset properly. She had been rushing forward and had forgotten the scenery along the way. Yue, I will accompany you to watch the sunset in the future, okay? Wu Lingyu suddenly said emotionally. Sima Yue used her hands to support herself. Hearing Wu Lingyu's words, she turned her head to look at him. Seeing the seriousness in his eyes, her heart suddenly skipped a beat. However, she immediately turned her head and looked at the setting sun, saying, Not just anyone can accompany me to watch the sunset. Not just anyone can live in my heart. Because once that person entered, she would not allow that person to leave. Otherwise, no matter who that person was, she would do everything in her power to destroy them. Grandfather isn't someone who would casually accompany him to watch the sunset, and not everyone would want to move in. Wu Lingyu said in a joking manner. Grandfather isn't a fickle person. Sima Yue thought of a sentence from her previous life. She glanced at him and said, You are not a fickle person. When you are fickle, you are not human, right? Chapter 419. Wu Lingyu's mouth twitched when he heard Sima Yue's words. Was he the kind of person who was inhumane when he was unfaithful? This girl. I'm hungry. I want to eat porridge. He didn't want to bicker with this little girl. Cultivators would also feel hungry? Who are you trying to fool? However, she still asked, What kind of porridge do you want? The kind that you endured for the first time in Puluo mountain range, Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him and stopped looking at him. She found a flat area and took out all the tools. Then she started to cook porridge and stir-fry vegetables. She had long forgotten what porridge she had made back then. She was overthinking things by asking her to make it now. Now that his body was so weak, how could he eat anything casually? Therefore, the porridge and dishes she cooked were all beneficial to his body. As soon as Wu Lingyu smelled the aroma, he knew that it wasn't the one she made back then. However, he was actually just casually saying it. As long as it was made by her, any flavor was fine. He turned over and laid on his side, supporting his head with his hand as he quietly watched her busy figure. She was full of vigor, but every time he saw her, he felt very calm inside. He remembered that when he was very young, there was once when he was brought to a continent by the Sage Pavilion's pavilion master. He saw an old couple who couldn't cultivate, and their hair had already turned white at the age of 10. He could feel the fluctuation of spiritual power on the man's body, but not on the woman's body. He guessed that he had given up on cultivation for her, and wanted to grow old with her. At that time, he didn't understand and asked the old man, "Why did you give up your cultivation for her?" At that time, the old man had answered him, "People always have a pursuit in life. Some pursue the highest realm, some pursue money, and some pursue power. As for me, I'm only greedy for the warmth of being with her." Just because of this, he gave up everything? The old man saw the confusion in his eyes and said with a smile, "If one day you can forget the hustle and bustle of the mortal world, when you are beside a girl, and feel the peace in the depths of your soul, you will understand what I mean." Later on, he met many different kinds of women. Some were fresh and elegant, some were enchanting and charming, some were pure and cute, and some were intelligent and quick-witted. However, none of them gave him the feeling that the old man had described. Later on, the more women he met, the more he doubted the old man's words. Was there really a woman who could calm his soul? No, there would never be such a woman. But he had never thought that he would meet her in such a lowly place like the Yilin continent, when she was only in her teens. She had a face that had yet to fully mature, stubborn eyes that refused to admit defeat, and the vicissitudes of life in the depths of her eyes that did not belong to her age. She was clearly not a simple and elegant person, but she really made him feel the tranquility of time. After living together for more than 10 days, she had walked into his heart, his life force. Sima Yue felt his gaze and said without raising her head, "Don't you feel hungry looking at me?" "Seeing you makes me hungrier," Wu Lingyu said with a smile. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him, too lazy to talk to him. She realized that after this rascal said that he liked her, his words became frivolous. In the past, she only thought that he was evil, but she did not expect that other than that, he was also a hooligan. When the dishes were done, she took out the table and placed the dishes on it. Then she went to look at the porridge. When she turned back, she saw this rascal quietly sitting at the table. His movements were nimble. How did it look like his soul was weak? She saw that the porridge was almost done, and scooped a bowl for the two of them. She placed a bowl in front of him, and took a bowl for herself and sat opposite him. "Senior, aren't you the holy son of the temple? You went missing for so long. Did the temple not look for you?" Wu Lingyu took a spoon and gently scooped a spoonful of porridge. He blew on it and drank it gracefully, then said, "That old man doesn't care if I live or die, and my life jade is fine. Naturally, he wouldn't care about me." Sima Yue was suspicious, and said, "What did you mean when you said that the old man wanted your body? Does master know?" Wu Lingyu put down his spoon, and looked at Sima Yue. Seeing the persistence in her eyes, he said, "He asked me to go to the Sage Pavilion, because he wanted my body. Because my soul was not complete. He took the opportunity to destroy my soul, and take over my body, turning me into him. He's giving me so much power now, because he's planning for his future power." Sima Yue was shocked and said, "Since you know, why don't you leave the Sage Pavilion? The Divine Devil Valley has the power to go against the Sage Pavilion. If you go back, he won't dare to do anything to you." "I naturally have my own plans if I don't go back," Wu Lingyu said. Do you think he can scheme against me just because he wants to? His words were calm, but Sima Yue could hear the hatred and absolute confidence in him. Then you have to know your limits. Don't go for wool and come home shorn. She did not say much. Does master know? He doesn't. If he knew, he would be so angry that he would stomp his feet. He has always disapproved of me going to the Sage Pavilion. I was the one who insisted. Wu Lingyu said. So you have to keep it a secret for me. Although she did not know why he insisted, she knew that he should know what he was doing. You want me to keep it a secret? Sure, I'll pay you. She reached out her hand to him with a shameless expression. Wu Lingyu smiled and took out a pile of books, stacking them on the table. Is this enough? Sima Yue looked at the pile of books and was stunned. Then she roughly looked through them. Most of them were array books, and some were rare alchemy and weapon refining books. Fire Qilin said that he knew that she lacked array books, so he went around collecting them for her. These should be the books that he collected during this period of time. She kept all the books into her spatial ring and said, "It's barely enough. What if I add this book?" Wu Lingyu took out another book and placed it in front of her. That yellowed page with a chipped corner was obviously from a very long time ago. "This is the book you got when you were trapped?" she asked. "Yes," Wu Lingyu said. "It's rumored that this is the tomb of the founder of the Array sect. However, this Array sect has not appeared in the world for 10,000 years. No one knows if it's still around. There's no way to verify whether this is the tomb of the founder." Sima Yue picked up the book and took a look. The moment she flipped it open, she was attracted to the contents. It seemed to cover all the arrays, and there were many lost arrays that Feng Zhixing had mentioned. There was a detailed explanation of each type of array formation, as well as some insights on the understanding of space. Every page was a huge treasure to the current array master. Wu Lingyu saw that her eyes were shining, and her face was full of smiles. He could not help but smile. Now he truly understood what the old man had said. Her smile was his greatest satisfaction. Chapter 420. But soon, Wu Lingyu's smile disappeared. Following that, his aura slowly turned cold and incomparably bitter. Ever since she opened the book, she hadn't raised her head even once. She didn't even look at him, he glared at her. Finally, a certain someone couldn't take it anymore. She looked up and said, "Aren't you hungry? Why are you staring at me instead of eating?" Wu Lingyu regretted giving her this, and wanted to snatch it back. "You don't even look at me anymore," he complained. "Is it better looking or am I better looking?" Sima Yue could not help but roll her eyes. How could he compare himself to a book? "It looks better than you," she answered honestly. "Is it as good looking as me?" Wu Lingyu's tone turned cold. She looked at the book, as if she was looking at an enemy. Sima Yue glanced at him, and kept the book in case he tore it. "Are you still eating or not? If not, I'm going to pack up." "Eat, why wouldn't I? I'm not full yet." Wu Lingyu saw her put away the book, and continued to eat the porridge with satisfaction. After finishing the porridge, he asked Sima Yue to set up a tent for him, and prepare a bed for him to rest on. Sima Yue wanted to say no, but seeing how weak he was, she went along with it. Just treat him like a little kid like little too. He set up a tent, arranged a bed and helped him up to rest. Then, he prepared to leave and continue reading his book. However, a certain someone obviously didn't want her to leave. One moment he wanted her to do this, and the next moment, he wanted her to do that. He just wouldn't let her go. In the end, she couldn't help but flip out. "Wu Lingyu, if you don't behave yourself, I'll leave you here and go back by myself." She had always thought that he was injured because of her, so she had always been patient with his requests. She didn't expect that this guy would open a dye house after giving him some face. When Wu Lingyu saw that Sima Yue was about to explode, she put away her little thoughts and said, "I won't ask you to do anything. Just read on the soft couch." Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him, and sat down on the couch. She took out a book on array formations and started reading. Wu Lingyu saw that she was reading quietly, and stopped teasing her. He sat cross-legged on the bed to repair his soul. Although he had taken Sima Yoyue's pills and a drop of soul fluid, his soul was still rather weak. It was time to recuperate. Thus, one of them sat on the bed to cultivate, while the other sat on the soft couch to read. They were quiet and did not disturb each other. He stayed there for 10 days. In these 10 days, the Sima family had thought of looking for Sima Yuyu, but they had no idea where she was. Sima Yulin, who knew where she was, pondered for a while before keeping the jade stone away. She could have resisted when she was taken away, but she just let them take her away. She must have her reasons. 10 days later, Wu Lingyu opened his eyes for the first time. He immediately saw her figure immersed in her calculations, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Done. Sima Yue raised her head and asked. Wu Lingyu came down and walked to her side. He grabbed a strand of her black hair and said, "You've been here for the past few days?" She pulled back her hair. "You've been reading this book?" The arrays in this book are much more complete than others. It's harder to learn, Sima Yue said, indirectly answering his question. She kept the book and said, "I've asked Demo Shah. As long as I reach the divine rank, I will be able to break the contract with him, and you can fuse. At that time, you won't have to be troubled by this." "Okay, since that's the case, I'll stay by your side before you reach the divine rank. It'll prevent any trouble in between," Wu Lingyu said. "You're the holy son of the Sage Pavilion. What's wrong with you following me?" Sima Yue disagreed, saying, "I'll ascend to the divine rank as soon as possible and go up to find you. You're chasing me away so quickly. You really don't have a conscience," Wu Lingyu said. "I have my own things to do. You have nothing to do here," Sima Yue said. "I'm willing," Wu Lingyu said. "Then it's decided." Those people from the Sima family knew that she was a girl. What if they came to harass her? He had to stay by her side during this period of time. This girl was the kind of person who was unmoved. Once she was moved, she would be dead set on it. Although she didn't like anyone now, what if she fell in love with someone else when he left? So he had to stay by her side and declare his sovereignty. Sima Yue didn't know what Wu Lingyu was thinking, but since he insisted, she let him be. After all, he had found so many precious books for her. She couldn't chase him away. So, after being kidnapped for 10 days, she brought Wu Lingyu back to the clan. The goddess in their hearts brought back an evildoer. It was even the person who had kidnapped her back then. The entire Yilin clan was shocked. They watched as she brought that man back to her courtyard. Yue, Bei Gongtang, and the others were surprised when they saw Sima Yue bring Wu Lingyu back. Sima Yue shrugged, saying, "He said that he wants to stay with us for a while." "Then where will he stay?" "Naturally, he'll stay with junior brother," Wu Lingyu said with a smile. "Stay together?" Fatty Chu and the others were stunned. "Stay with her? How is that possible?" But Sima Yue nodded, saying, "Prepare a room for him in my courtyard." Because there were more people in the clan, they still chose to use this kind of compound courtyard. A few people stayed in the same courtyard, but Sima Yoyue's position in the clan was higher. She had many secrets, so she lived alone in a small courtyard. Now she was actually willing to let Wu Lingyu stay in her courtyard. Wouldn't that mean that they would be together day and night? In the past, it didn't matter if they didn't know that she was a girl. But now that they knew, the people in the clan didn't feel at ease letting Wu Lingyu stay with her. But the other party's identity was special. Sima Yue also agreed. They could only watch as Wu Lingyu moved into her courtyard. Sima Yue couldn't do anything when she saw their disapproving gazes. This guy insisted on staying by her side. He said that if anything happened to her, she would be able to find out in time. She scoffed at his excuse. But when she checked his body, she agreed to his request. It wasn't because of what if anything happened to him. But when she checked his soul, she thought of the trauma he had suffered and couldn't bear to reject his request. Seeing that their goddess agreed to let a stranger stay with her, the young men's hearts broke. But those who went to Sheng City had seen Wu Lingyu and knew his identity. Compared to him, they had no chance of winning. As a result, the number of people loitering outside Sima Yoyue's courtyard gradually decreased. Seeing this effect, Wu Lingyu smiled in satisfaction. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.